Yeah. Classic. One of the reasons, one of the two reasons why I play bass, why I've always wanted to play bass, still can't remember what put up for it. %. that was Primus. And that was, of course, Welcome to This World. And if I remember right, I think that might have been from Sam. No, I can't remember. I think I get confused between Sail and Seasoned Cheese and Frizzle Fry. So I'm not sure if it's Frizzle Fry, but I know that Welcome to This World is my favorite song from not Welcome to This World, sorry. Oh, now I've forgotten the name of it. What was it like? My Name is Mud. But always reminds me of the movie called Falling Down, starring Michael Douglas. It's like, yeah, it's like, my name is Mud. Feels like that. So the stream is, I got banned on Facebook. So basically for the next couple of days, I'm just going to be streaming and trying to get as much publicity for the convention. Convention, the Kickstarter comic out, and also try to get this finished today or tomorrow. It's got to be ready for the kiln for the glazing for the fundraiser by Friday, because it's getting put into the kiln on Friday night and it's getting glazed and fired in there. So hey Ross, thanks for joining, man. Like, I was showing my niece and nephews and family the photo of the caricature. They're like, oh, it looks exactly like, like, yeah, I know, it's really good. So yeah, so I was quite, they loved it. I haven't stopped loving it, so I'm gonna wait I need to get the right size frame, and I'll be framing it right behind me, probably over here somewhere, so everybody can see every time I put it up. I mean, every time I stream. But yeah, so as you know, for you guys who haven't been watching this previously, but I'm Ross is, I've spent, probably dozen hours or so slowly because I've been live streaming while I've been doing this. So this got chucked in the kiln about a week ago or so, and last week I didn't do anything. And yeah, so last week I didn't do anything, and got an email, and I looked. It's like 3 days ago. I should have checked my emails, but I didn't bother over the weekend. I'm trying to get into a habit of not actually doing anything in the weekends, because I work 7 days a week. I work from home, so I'm like, I just get up and start working, and I don't think about taking a break. So for the last month or so, like the last 6-7 weeks, I've been like, you know what, I'm going to take weekends off now on purpose, like really, so I don't burn out, because I have a tendency to like burn out, because I just go hard into everything, but my body can't handle that. Like my mind can, but my body just can't. So yeah, they did really enjoy it, Ross, and yeah, it's it's really they're surprised. I said, like, it took 30 minutes for him to do that. I was like, oh wow. I said, yeah, and he's actually got him faster than he was saying. It's like, yeah, it's such a cool thing. So I picked this up just before we got a taxi into town, did some shopping. Afterwards, I got my taxi driver Mac. He's the one on call, and then Jason and I went down and dropped in at the Quarry Art Center, which is what this is for. It's for a fundraiser for them. And so, I went to pick this up, and like I said, I got an email saying, hey, it's ready for you. If you want the glazes, what sort of glazes do you want? Come down, we've got something for it. And Hannah's a good friend of mine. Like, the people that run it run it now, they're both good close friends of ours. They actually helped me set up the plunge convention, like helped me work through the teething stages of it in the first couple of years. So so it's like, it's just, and this is, I started being part of that place even before they got in. But yeah, it's quite a good part of our community, in Whangarei, right, in New Zealand, Whangarei, where artists get together and people from all over New Zealand get together and do a piece of work, and they hand it over and go, this is fundraise, and you can have, and the money goes towards the facilities. And one of the things is that, like, Whangarei is known as an arts community. The problem is that if you're not into arts, there isn't really that much to do. So, like, there's sports, right, but they're seasonal. So if you're coming in winter, it's kind of like a place where there's things to do, but there isn't really things to do. And so arts is something that we've really pushed a lot of effort into, because it's like, you know, you can go there, learn how to do arts, you can do different things, you can see things here. And so with this facility, you know, for the last couple of years, I've been doing plates because it's been a great plate. Now it's like the creative cup. So you could do whatever you want with a cup. So as you know, you can look back on the other, just look up cup or cup sculpture on the search on my channel on here on YouTube, this one here, and you'll be able to find out, watch me do this thing. But basically I hand build. I don't use, you know, a throwing wheel or anything like that. I just pick it up and build it by hand. And so it takes a while, but hey, it's a one-off piece. There's no, you know, there's no double ups or no, you know, copies of it. This is it. And so I went down and picked up some glazes. And so at first it was like, oh, you know, there was like and I had this really cool maroon one where, like, if you look at the olden days, they had this like style where they have relief tiles. And so like it'll be like light and then it'll be like darker in the corners and stuff. Like, so if it was down here, it'd be like really dark, so it'll pull up and it'll like flow into those areas. So, but something like this, it wouldn't work because the color would like flow down, and so it'll like look like it was dripping. So I said, oh, you know, can we do some red? So instead of the maroon, we went for red, and these are like about $10 each, like nine. Well, actually, this one's 14, so it's quite a bit more expensive. So it's about probably about $9 or $8 US. You know, a lot of our you know, viewers are American because, you know, I've got friends over in America and business partners. So this is $9. This is about, I guess, about $6 in the blue. So what I'm going to do is blue's basically our color, right, for plunge. So plunge is usually red and blue, and in Creative Girl, you know, is around here, and she's red and blue somewhere, and usually her jeans is blue and her top is red with a white reverse G on it with a bit of an I on it. And so so I said, oh, these are our colors, so I'll pick that up. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm not sure if I was trying to jot down what I wanted to do red and what I wanted to do blue. The thing about this is that I don't want to use all of this on all of this, because that's just a waste. I mean, not a waste, but it's kind of like, you know, I want to have colors stick out and not just, you know. So what's going to happen is the bulk of this is just going to be clear. So it's going to show through all this. And I'm going to lightly probably just do a bit of swirls around it. But what I wanted to do was, like, all of these, like these round pieces, I'm going to go blue, right, for earth. So I'm going to go for the earth and make that blue. And then all these other bits here, the circular bits, sorry, the light's a bit wonky there. So this part here will go red, and then so will this outline. So you get all these like little blues here and so on, and then red. But the other thing is, I was thinking is, I'll do the lip as a blue lip as well, right? Or maybe a red. We'll see how it goes depending on what the colors are like. So I was noticing under here, like, I can't do any colors over here because it will just drop down onto the Kelm shelf. And what that does, it'll stick it to it, and which is not good, because that means it's not only is the glass is stuck to this, I mean, to the shelf, it's hard to get this off. It'll end up breaking. But not only that, that you ruin the freaking shelf as well. I've seen it happen. I've seen people, like, when I was in my student days, when we were doing this, and they didn't really think about that, and they're just like glazing the bottom and being told, hey, don't do that, you know, and ignoring the tutor about that. So yeah, I'm going to try to keep this you know, as simple as possible, kind of like, because what's going to happen after this, once it gets glazed, there's going to be a clear glaze over the top of it. So it'll be a nice shiny clear inside and out. It'll have the same look here, only the colors will be like, look, really pop out. So I want those colors to pop out, kind of give it a rustic look. So yeah, so they'll basically, you know, dip it down. This is basically undercoat. And so what that means, it's like a matte finish, but when you put the glaze on top, it has this really cool shine like that on it. Otherwise, it looks like that. So you can see this, it'll look like this, but when it's you know, when you put the clear and fire it again, it has this beautiful shine on it. So it'll really stick it out. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pop this down a bit. Let me see if I can bring this sideways. There we go. So you guys can see me color and not see my face so much. But also, while I'm doing that, I will be running a video about flooding in China and stuff like that, and some crazy out of there, some news and bits and pieces of other stuff that's I've been you know, like movies and stuff, trailers. So that just watch me brushing and be bored out of your minds. Just I'll jump in every now and then, but we'll keep things interesting. But the first one I want to show you guys right away is a short vid that I made today in town, and this is the second video that I've made in 6 months, where a truck basically went under. So I'll show you the first one so you get to see the first one, then we'll do the second one, right? So let me see. All right, so there's a 47-second video, and then this is from like about 6 months ago. So yeah, 6 months, exactly months ago. And then this other one is from today, right? Now let me see how we're set up here. Yeah. Is that one better? Let's go with this. Yeah. So like 6 months ago, so this is about December, end of December, mid-December. So same bridge 3 times in 6 months, and I got 2 of them.
When you don't know how to measure the height of your building, of your truck, 3.44. This is it today in Whangarei, New Zealand. Some dude tried to go under the railway bridge. Obviously, it didn't have enough clearance. And so now they got to let down the wheels, let the air out of the wheels, maybe take the wheels off and do it. Like, seriously, look at that. Crazy. I only seen this on like YouTube videos on fail, but here's my own fail video from New Zealand. Hello, world.
Yeah, so that was that. And that's from like December, if I remember right. So 6 months ago. And then there was another video put up last week or the week before with another truck, right? So that meant like that's 2 in 6 months or 5 months. Or, yeah, 6 months, right? But then today, we were just out today again, and popping out of EB Games, and next thing you know, people are going, "Oh, what's going on over there?" And turn around, and there's like about 3, a cop car blocking the road going onto Rustav, which is goes on to our goes on at the end of Rustav is where this gallery is, right? And so, and then on the left, as you're going towards the Rustav onto the gallery, you have and the art center is our newest council building, and of course our recently new library, very, very cool library. And so and so we pop out, and I look and I go, "Oh, what's going on there?" Next thing you know, there's 3 more cop cars further up, and so it's like, what's going on here? And like next thing, oh no. And so this is what's happened today. Is the volume up?
2 this year. Actually, no. Yeah. So this is number 3 in 6 months, and this is number 2 this year. Actually, no. Yeah, this is number 2 in about 1 month. There was one just the other week. Or was it last week or the week before? But yeah, this is my second time I've taken a video in 6 months of the exact same way. See, look, see at the top there says stop. Check your height clearance, 3 meters 44, and but none of these drivers know how to drive or check their height or pay attention to signage. So this is the third time in 6 months. Last one was in December, and the other one was like in about February. And yeah. Anyway, Whangarei fails. Truck fails. So this is number 3 in 6 months.
Yeah, so that was kind of, kind of crazy, and like I was like, it's a bit of a weird thing going on there, but I was talking to, but the thing here is, right, so I was talking to my to Mac, my taxi driver, and he said what happens is that, like, drivers are basically in and out of trucks, and so the big one comes in, and then they say, oh, jump in that one and go deliver something within town. And so they go from this big one to a small one, and they think, or a smaller one to a slightly bigger one, and they don't realize that they're in a slightly higher back carriage, right, like the container area. And so they end up not knowing the exact size of it, because they think, oh yeah, this might be fine. But the problem here is that, like, the solution that Mac reckons is, well, every dashboard should have the height of the truck or whatever, the carriage, and on the front, on the dashboard, right? So that's like, I say, oh, this is 3 meters high, and okay, you can get past. Or this is like, no, this is 4 meters high. Oh, sorry, you can't get past, so let's not go around there, right? Problem is, you really can't turn around once they're there. But these drivers, they're not new to Whangarei. They should know this as well. If you're driving trucks, you're not driving it for the first time. And so it kind of feels really strange and costly for these guys to get their trucks fixed, on their insurance, their levies goes up, and it's crazy. And then, of course, that get passed down to everybody else, because now we got to pay more for food, or more for the product, because somebody's got to pay for it, and every time there's a crash, insurance goes up, and so the premiums goes up for people, and that's how they insurance companies make the money. And so the truck companies and whatever else, they got to pass that around. That's the way the world works, right? Now, talking about that, so I've got two of the blues done, right? So the little one on the big sun round thing, and then got the sun on the big one. And so I'm going to try to make sure, like, it's an undercoat, but I'm going to try to make sure it's I have made in the past, I've made mistakes with these things where I've only given it one layer thinking, oh, it's blue. And then, like, turns out it's like water washed look on it. And I don't want to give a wash look to this right now. So talking about stuff like that, I want to show you guys, put on a video about China right now. And that's one of the things that we talk about, like I talk about on this channel, is about, about China, because it's a lot of people really don't understand democracy in line with, like, they go, oh, with how free that is compared, or capitalism, right? How free that is compared to how other socialism and communism works. And for someone who likes researching and stuff, I like to see how governments work, how people's lives are under certain these different schemes, because you can always go, well, what was fascism like? What was this like? What was like? However, right now we can learn from China about how communism was like. What's it like living under communism? See, I think it was Argentina, or where was it? Because they've just had a new government, right? Because socialism they had for about 20 years or decade, and it totally ruined the country. So socialism, communism, and fascism, basically it's about whoever is at the top, they get all the money. And communism is basically this way. So check this out. This is very interesting. This came up just this morning. And, like, look at this. Sex workers have been arrested and taxed So as I do this, we'll watch this video. Hopefully,
In
you guys
China's rapidly declining economic situation, both the central and local governments are facing financial problems. Recently, a trend of retroactive tax audits has emerged across various local governments in China. Many business owners who once ran companies have been audited for the past 30 years and are required to pay back taxes. This wave of tax collection has also extended to many e-commerce influencers, internet celebrities, and even ordinary individuals, giving the impression that the government is eager to harvest from everyone. Ningbo Bohui Chemical Technology was hit hard by this tax storm, with the local tax bureau demanding nearly 500 million yuan in back taxes. This hefty tax bill caused significant financial difficulties for the company, forcing it to announce a production halt. This aggressive tax collection campaign, which threatens the survival of private enterprises and jobs, has sparked widespread public outrage. On platform X, a user named Unfinished China shared a post featuring a photo of a group of women who survived by prostitution and being collectively arrested by the Chinese police. The reason behind their arrest was also tax-related. According to an insider, the Chinese government is in need of revenue targeted these women whose transactions typically went untaxed. By arresting and fining them, the government increases its tax revenue. At the same time, it remains its legitimacy by using the moral high ground. At the same time, the government profits from law enforcement fines and collects protection fees from these vulnerable women, a classic killing two birds with one stone strategy. Regardless of whether your business is large or small, no one is spared in this retroactive audit campaign. The impact extends beyond just one company. Businesses of all sizes are feeling the pressure from this tax crackdown. A tax repayment notice spanning 30 years has pushed a long-standing Chinese company, VV Food and Beverage, into the public spotlight. On the evening of June 13th, VV Food and Beverage announced that it recently received a tax matters notice from the Zhejiang Development Zone branch of the State Taxation Administration, forwarded by its former subsidiary Hubei Zhejiang Liquid Co. Limited. According to the notice, Zhejiang Liquor was required to pay a total of 85 million yuan in back taxes. It is due to a failure to pay consumption taxes on time for the period from January 1st, 1994 to October 31st, 2009. This is a significant amount. In 2023, VV Food and Beverage reported revenue of 4 billion yuan and a net profit attributable to shareholders of 209 million yuan. This back tax, without considering late payment penalties, would account for 40.7% of VV Food and Beverage's 2023 net profit. The 30-year retrospective audit of VV Food and Beverage is unprecedented in tax audit history. VV Food and Beverage is not alone in this. A list of companies undergoing retrospective tax audits show that the State Taxation Administration is not just targeting publicly listed companies. Some companies on the list include Sunday New World Hotel in Foshan was audited for 25 years and required to pay over 900,000 yuan in back taxes due to historical tax issues. Taiji Group in Huizhou was audited for 20 years and required to pay 53 million yuan in back taxes for tax evasion from 2000 to 2008. Zhangge Mining, a publicly listed company in Qinghai, was audited for 20 years and required to pay nearly 188 million yuan in back taxes and late payment penalties, with the penalties amounting to 2.4 times the tax amount. A well-known local developer in Yueyang was audited for 20 years and required to pay 900 million yuan in back taxes and fines. Yishan Textile Co. in Hangzhou was audited for 10 years and required to pay 210 million yuan in back taxes for tax evasion from 2014 to 2021, with the final amount to be 360 million yuan including penalties. The list doesn't cover all the audited public listed companies. For well-established companies such as tax audits might only cut into their profits. However, most businesses are struggling to survive in the sluggish Chinese economy. The government's intensive tax audits at this time are pushing these struggling enterprises to the brink of collapse. A Chinese netizen knowledgeable about the country's tax system believes that if taxes are paid as currently required, small and medium-sized enterprises in China have almost no chance of survival because the overall tax rate is extremely high. She said, take Ningbo Bohui Chemical Technology, for example. They were required to pay 500 million yuan in back taxes, which directly led to a production halt. Originally, they were taxed on aromatic hydrocarbon derivatives, but now the authorities say it should be taxed as aromatic hydrocarbons. This kind of arbitrary rule changing is playing dirty. Recently, there's been a bombardment of tax audits and back tax demands. Let's talk about taxation in China. Taxation is essentially a contract, a fee for public services paid by businesses and individuals. Thus, the tax amount should be reasonable. But what taxes do we have in our country besides direct taxes? There's also revenue and land sales, oil products, and other state monopolies. When you add it all up, our tax rate is indeed too high. When tax rates are excessive, reasonable tax avoidance is justified. Otherwise, businesses can't survive. The economy would collapse, and jobs and livelihoods would be destroyed. One could argue that the economic growth in China over the past few decades owes much to tax avoidance. So, tax avoidance isn't a crime. It benefits economic development. Furthermore, the avoided tax isn't just lining the pockets of entrepreneurs, but is reinvested into production, allowing them to expand. Forcing them to pay back taxes now is like signing their death warrant. The worse the economy, the more tax cuts are needed, not this short-sighted exploitation, which will only lead to a domino effect of collapse. I can only say, may God bless us. A social media influencer commented that a 30-year retroactive tax audit is indeed terrifying. Many listed companies started as small businesses and undoubtedly have various irregularities during their early days. This is something the government surely knows. Moreover, China's employment heavily relies on SMEs. If these businesses are driven to collapse, the problem will only worsen. Given the current poor economic conditions, especially this year, businesses are barely making any money, and finding jobs is tough. Retroactive tax audits at this time only adds insult to injury. During economic downturns, to prevent further decline, the government should avoid causing a depression. It should significantly reduce taxes to ease a burden on businesses, helping them recover sooner. However,
so
the
here's the
Chinese
thing, right? That a lot of people don't really understand, and they watch people like watch China make these billions of dollars over to hand over to Africa, to other nations, Pacific Islands, to buy favor in the future, or basically take their land when they can't pay back. However, where is that money coming from, right? It's not coming from the government, because the government doesn't have its own money. What it does has is the people's money. And so when you're a communist country, you can make whatever rule you want whenever you want, because it's your boot on the neck of the people, and you're making the rules as you go along. And this is what Chinese people are finding out now. For years, they've been like, oh yeah, we're doing really well, making so well. We're selling all these products, we're ripping off all these Western companies, like with forgeries and stuff of their work, fake goods, getting it all over there, all over the world. Our country's great, China's great. Look, and like recently they were like fighting, like there was, protest against the CCP here, and the pinks are what they call like, people who are like in favor of communism and like will do anything. They're like a little cultists for their government, right? And like that's the craziest stuff. Like actually being, not watching your whole, country go downhill, yet you're in favor of that government. And that's one thing that, and you can't. And here's the thing about communism: is like the moment you say anything against your country, against that government, you're basically gone. You're dealt with. You're like silenced, and like you know, if you put a message on the internet, it's kind of like me right now, right? With Facebook. I don't know what I said or who got upset about what, but like, I'm not allowed to use it for about 3 days. But in China, you're not allowed to use forever. You're done. You're gone. But not only that, I can go on other platforms. In China, you can't do that. You can't be on here. You can't be on any other platform ever. You can't be on Twitter. You can't be on anything because they've got a firewall and they control that firewall, right? And I've had a look at, I mean, we've talked about this firewall before on this channel, because that's only two things we talk about, right? We talk about comic books and all the glorious, arts and all that. And the other thing is communism, right? And learning from what's happening right now. If people always go like, oh, you got to learn from history. Yeah, you don't really need to learn from history if it's happening right now. You can learn right now from China. And so, and they go, it's never been worked. It hasn't been done properly yet. It's always been done properly. At the end of the day, whoever's at the top gets everything, and people at the bottom struggle for, a morsel. So I'm going to shift gear from this for a moment to another video. And this one is about, let me find the right one. So this one, right? So this is what happens when you live under communism and you are having disaster that's created by the government, basically. So in China, there was like 27 days out of 29 days of rain, right? Massive rain. Now I'm going to put this a bit larger so we get to see a bit more of this. So what happened was they had two dams, right? And in this area. And you'll see the big, huge picture, like airplane, bird's eye drone, whatever footage. And in the night, when everybody's sleeping, right, they let the dams just basically open up, the two dams, because it's going to be overflowing. So this is what happens when everybody in America goes, how can China can do such things so fast, so quickly? How quickly they can make infrastructure, like they can build buildings. That's, oh my God, why cannot the West do that? Yeah, that's because we want to live. Our government wants us to survive. We don't want the buildings fall down in 2 years after it's been built, right? We don't want to fall into a hole in the middle of the street. We don't want the trains crashing, coming off the rails, right? We don't want the building splitting in half. And so that's why we take time. We don't rush buildings and stuff like that, especially infrastructure is the most important thing. The floor, right? The foundation's got to be right. However, when you're rushing everything, actually, I'll put this up. It looks a bit weird. I'm like moving my hand and you guys are not thinking. I'll try to do my best and like show it as I'm doing it. So I'm basically glazing this for the, my head's a bit warped up. There we go. So I'm glazing this with blue undercoat, underglaze. And then after that, when this gets fired, it'll go in and it'll get a clear glaze finish. So it'll be nice and glossy. Basically look like that, nice and shiny. At the moment, it's going to look like that, basically matte. So anyway, and so all these buildings, they're like, some of them like not even 20 years old, right? But they opened up the two levees, right? Like you saw like over in, what's it like? Starts with O, right? It's there, the jazz capital of America, right? The French Quarter. You know what I mean, right? That was like the levee broke, right? When the levee broke there. It reminds me of a song called "When the Levee Breaks." That Tool did a cover of, or was it a Perfect Circle did a cover of? But there was all the same deal like this, right? It was like all this flooding and stuff, and even now some of the houses are still not fixed and stuff because, and this is to do with the government, right? There, and you can say, well, it happens in America as well. There's a thing about like corrupt governments, and there's corrupt governments in the West as well. But here, but people can get together and vote that government out. In China, that dude's there forever. That government's there forever. It's for life, man. These people in charge are for life. The only way they get out is if they get murdered, and there has been assassinations right now, right? Of people that are in the higher things by by X's, Xi Jinping, the Winnie the Pooh guy, who's been like, anybody who says anything against them, or they're gone. There's like a whole bunch of like videos of actually people being carried away by the secret police, right? That's it. So this thing's just happened last couple of days, right, in China. And this is crazy because this is an entire city. And one of the things about Fiji is where I'm from, like the area that I'm from, it's called Nandi. And Nandi is kind of like this every friggin' hurricane because of where it's based, because it was, it's just a little village growing up over time thing. There's a river that goes this side and there's a river that goes that side, right? So it's like friggin' sandwiching between two rivers, and the town's there. And every year it gets flooded, right? When hurricane season, cyclone season, town gets flooded, about a foot underwater every year, and which means there's a lot of damage happens. It's so blasé now because it happens every year that people just go, oh yeah, all right, better put everything up top, get out of the way. It's going to be done again. And so all the time, so there's no carpet on the floors in Nandi. It's all tiles, right? It's all tiles on the floor because people are so used to it now. And I've been thinking about this. I was like, well, there's got to be slowly, you got to like go, okay, now this time we'll do this area, we'll raise it up now, or maybe we'll cut more rivers so that when the flooding comes, there's more water gets out of the way, right? Goes away. Hey Nathan, how's it going, bud? And so, so the water goes away. And I'm like, every year it's the same deal. Like, because I've got, we've got family in Nandi and stuff. It's our closest town. I mean, towns, all groceries and everything. And I'm always in town, right? Because when I travel, it's like either go hang around with family or go into town because I'm a city person, right? So I like to look at things. It's just the way my brain works. But so this thing with the two, like they let the levees out at night, like people like in their homes, and this government, right, the local government just goes, oh yeah, instead of letting letting people know what's going on, boom, right? So let's watch this, and it's just crazy. And I'll carry on with my glazing, like putting the undercoat on because I got to get this done. But I thought we'll do this as well. But
stops disaster relief after taking photos. Fujian victim.
Back up. So
CCTV stops disaster relief after taking photos. Fujian victims. Government too excessive. Inland flood disaster. Expert reveals secrets of 4 upstream reservoirs. Chengdu subway construction collapse. Residents evacuate urgently in the early morning. Shocking rise in sudden deaths among individuals in their 30s in China. CCP encourages citizens to donate organs. Experts warn caution. It's all covered in today's China Truths. CCTV stops disaster relief after taking photos. Fujian victims. Government too excessive. Several provinces and cities in China, especially Guangdong, Guangxi, and Fujian, have recently been struck by torrential and extreme rainfall. The continuous heavy rains combined with the release of water from reservoirs have resulted in floods several meters deep, leading to the evacuation of tens of thousands of people and significant losses for both residents and businesses. Fujian was severely impacted by these torrential rains. According to a report by CCTV on June 19, by 8 p.m., the disaster had resulted in at least 8 fatalities, affected 702,000 people, caused the collapse or severe damage of 4,490 houses, damaged 50.36 thousand hectares of crops, and led to direct economic losses of 9.84 billion yuan, about $1.4 billion US. On June 20, CCP state media Xinhua published a series of photos depicting the relief efforts in Longyan, Fujian. These included images of epidemic prevention efforts, delivery of water and food to the affected, clearance of debris from collapsed structures, and repairs to disrupted power supplies. However, a video surfaced the same day from a resident of Zhongqi Township in Longyan, claiming that relief efforts ceased abruptly after a crew from state broadcaster CCTV completed their filming. Guilin residents scramble for food. Nangsishan Hospital in Guilin was also affected by flooding and power outages. On June 20th, significant flooding persisted at Nangsishan Hospital, resulting in approximately 1,200 patients and medical staff being trapped, which led to a shortage of food.
So the thing about the whole, it's on the news and now they stop, right? So the point is, because of they control the media, there's so fucking, like, your fist, hand around your throat that tightly in China, the rest of the country doesn't know what's happening there in this area. They don't know because everything's shut. Like there's no mobiles. The only way you can know is by people actually still having power in the mobile, right? And with the power cut because of all the flooding and stuff, and you can't use the power, your phone's going to go out of power, right? And you can't share what's going on, and therefore, and also most of the stuff is on Weibo, right, which is a Chinese Twitter, and that can be shut down just like that. It's controlled by the government. And so when when they're saying like, oh, the reason they send these aid there and take photos is to show the rest of the country, yes, we're helping, then they leave. Therefore, they don't do any more helping. It's all about, it's like a political thing. It's photo op thing, right? And they do this all the time there. There's like freaking, it's the craziest thing to watch, man. It's like, if you've seen any of the videos about this, like police just like going to rescue somebody, but it's fake, right? It's like, oh, they're helping. Oh, there's raining, there's storm. It's a hose pipe over the top of them. And people are like watching going, what the hell are you guys doing? And these are like normal citizens. What are you doing? What? Why are you putting like using a hose to show like it's raining? It's a sunny day. It's all the stuff. So it's all photo ops because the government wants to show people that they're doing stuff there. And this is what I want. Like I want to get across to people in the West what communism's like. It's not about people. It's not like it's never been done right. It's always been done right. It's never about helping the people. It's about helping the people at the top. And a lot of times politicians, elsewhere do the same thing, right? But at least people can vote them out, right? We do that to our former leader here, right? Who promised homes and stuff and nothing got built. And next thing you know, affordable houses gets built as soon as the new government comes in, just down the road from me, right? Oh, we don't have the money. Now we've got money. So where was all that money before? And now this new government's got all this money to do that. Where did all that money come from? Like they were just sitting on it. Oh, we promised big and not do it. But like we can vote them out. These guys can't, right? When you have a leader that's in power forever, a government that's in power forever until they die, you have no choice like that. So you've got all these people here on the south of China who are in this friggin', suffering all this. The people who are poor, right? Middle class, lower class, right? The people who are not part of the party, right? So if you understand communism, it's like your party members, right? So you can have your village leader as part of the party membership and gets all the, all the freebies, he can go out and say, hey, I'm a party member, give me some money, or I'm not going to let you grow crops. Or we're going to shut down your farm if you don't give me some money. That sort of shit. Corruption. And it's part of the government. And this is where you're going to, it's a good segue because what's going to happen, what you're going to hear next is kind of like that. So I'm going to back up a bit just here.
That relief efforts ceased abruptly after a crew from state broadcaster CCTV completed their filming. Gillen residents scramble for food. Nangsishan Hospital in Gillen was also affected by flooding and power outages. On June 20th, significant flooding persisted at Nangsishan Hospital, resulting in approximately 1,200 patients and medical staff being trapped, which led to a shortage of food. During the breakfast distribution that morning, the scarcity of food caused a large crowd of patients to gather, creating chaos at the scene. Nurses had to tightly hold onto the food to prevent it from being snatched away. Additionally, on Liuha Road in Gillen, there was an incident where residents scrambled to collect food. Online videos showed the aftermath of the flooding, with the site left in chaos and residents picking through piles of food that had been soaked by the water. However, at these locations, Not only
disease.
were there no official CCP rescue personnel or supplies observed, but the staged photo opportunities also occurred again, as mentioned above, which led to dissatisfaction among the residents. What a society! What a time! The video that has spread online shows that after the floodwaters subsided, the streets of Zhongqi Town in Wupian County, Longyan City, Fujian, were left in utter chaos. In the video, the frustration of the disaster victims intensifies. They eventually lose their composure and bitterly criticize the situation, saying, "Is this what they call disaster relief? We are in the most severely affected area of all. This is how they handle the situation. The government has gone too far. We cannot work at all inside. Everything inside reeks. What a society. What a state of affairs." Following the release of the video critiquing the response, numerous netizens made sarcastic remarks. Many of the official media journalists should not be considered journalists but rather scriptwriters and directors. In this country, disaster victims have become mere props for staged photos, and disaster relief has become a show. This situation closely resembles last year's near Bazhou, in Hebei. Some say bluntly, the authorities are now degenerating. Has anyone heard of Xi Jinping personally visiting disaster-hit areas? This neglect starts from the top, and now that local finances are essentially bankrupt, how can they possibly allocate funds for disaster relief? Disaster situation in other places. According to CCTV News, nearly 100,000 people were impacted by heavy rains in Jiaoling County and Meixian District of Meizhou City, Guangdong Province, resulting in at least 9 deaths and 6 missing individuals. As of 4 p.m. on June 20th, the disaster in Jiaoling County, Meizhou City, affected 64,947 people, resulting in 5 deaths and 2 individuals missing, with an estimated direct economic loss of about 3.65 billion yuan, about $502.6 million USD. In Meixian District, Meizhou City, the disaster affected over 32,000 people, with 4 deaths and 4 missing. The disaster caused the collapse or damage of over 5,800 buildings and impacted more than 1,500 hectares of agricultural land, leading to direct economic losses of approximately 1.063 billion yuan, about $146.4 million USD. According to
So when you talk about agricultural land, that's land they grow food on. So that land, with those all that like diseased animal byproducts, human waste, you know, all this other stuff, right? Food waste, all this food that's breaking down, plastics, gelatin, and all that is going to go into the ground or on top of it. So that's going to make it hard for that ground, that agricultural ground. And this is like, I was laughing a couple of years ago when people were like, some like during the protest, the Summer of Love, they wanted to plant tomatoes on the footpath. They didn't even know how long it takes to grow a tomato. I love growing tomatoes. I grow it just about every year. I think this is the first time I haven't grown it. But I got like freaking 5 to 10 different types of seed stock, like cherries, like plums, big round ones. My mom got me some tomatoes from her garden, which is like Jubilee ones, which is basically the originals where they're not red, all perfectly red. They're like the ones that haven't been like messed with, so they're all perfect red. So you get like a bit of yellow, a bit of green, and they're like really juicy and really tasty. She's like, yeah, plant this, this is what I'm like, yeah, okay. So when it comes to soil being damaged by flooding like this, and all the other ones should talk about is like factory waste, right? The chemicals for whatever, because this is a huge city area, right? And not only one, there's a whole freaking huge area, hundreds of thousands of people involved here, and think of all the businesses and everything there, right? A couple, 2-3 meters worth of water that's going to be, where's it going to go? So it's going to soak into the ground, and it's going to take months, right? Months and months of that to work its way out. But not only that, now the soil's damaged. The topsoil, right, is going to be damaged. So it's going to take ages for that to get right again, to be able to. And I come from farming, farming, agriculture background, like in our family in Fiji, and also my parents, where I live, it's like a cattle, but sheep and beef, area, basically factories. But so, that's something you learn early on about topsoil and stuff like that. So if all this topsoil is getting washed away and all this like clay soil is dunked on top, as the water's, evaporating, and it's going to take a while because the infrastructure doesn't have good drainage. That's why it's caused all this flooding as well. So because they speeded up infrastructure, right? To show the world, show the West, communism is powerful, is the best sort of thing. The best sort of government is communism because we can get things done so quickly if we all think the same way. Yeah, but that also means that if there's a dumb guy in charge, which he is, because his kindergarten teacher said Xi Jinping didn't even finish he only finished kindergarten. Right? Imagine that, having a leader in charge of a country who's only finished kindergarten education, and that's all he knows. Of course, you can surround yourself by smarter people, but guess what? You don't have someone too smart, right? That's why it's been like getting rid of all this competitors over the years. So anybody who's like goes, "Hey, we should do this," I go, "Yeah, I don't want you telling me what to do. Bye bye, off with his head." And that's what's been happening. So yeah, and so this is going to be bad. Like, this is bad for the people. Like, food, they can't grow their own food for months now, which means they're all going to have to buy food in. However, as you saw and heard, there is no aid going to them now because the photo op's over. The rest of the country thinks, oh yeah, national news saying, oh, they were there, they're showing all this, they were helping all this, so they're fine, don't worry about them, they've been taken care of by the government. On the meantime, the government's forgotten, you're gone, you're on your own, guys, carry on, next place. And I'm going to show you another video later where the people actually go, well, how come they're not helping us, but they're ready? If this was happening in Africa, they'll be running there to help, right? About their own government. So yeah.
A report by Wenweipa on June 21st, as of 6:30 a.m., nearly 210,000 people in Huangshan City, Anhui Province, were affected. Emergency relocation was initiated for 12,424 people, and 11,581 required urgent life support. Agricultural crops over an area of 10,955.79 hectares were damaged, 27 households with 55 buildings collapsed, 46 households with 76 buildings suffered severe damage, and 610 households with 950 buildings were generally damaged. 42 roads were cut off, resulting in direct economic losses of over 500 million yuan, nearly $69 million. Due to the flooding, many areas in Huangshan faced water and power outages, with villagers in Gaojing village reporting numerous houses swept away and many people missing. Both Senkan Township and Shaolian Township.
So if you have seen any crazy videos about buildings falling over in China just without flooding, any of these buildings that are still standing, their friggin' foundations are gone. It's going to be weak, and so none of these buildings, if any, is going to survive within a year or two. Because not only that, if any recent buildings have gone up, they've got really bad freaking what is that called? Like the cement shit, the metal shit. It's all like substandard products that these buildings are made out of, and like we're gonna jump around from other videos soon, but I want to. This is like the most recent, right? There's another one before this, and then there's another one before that as well. So I want to like kind of backtrack with this, but like look at this, man. Like look, and here's like I said, I keep saying, right, the rest of the country doesn't know this is happening in their own country. because of state-run media, right? Because they're only going to see like, oh, look, they went and helped. Boom, they're gone. They're on their own. These guys are on their own. And I'm, like I said, 210,000, 10,000 people needing emergency care.
Experienced no electricity, no internet, and no signal due to down high voltage lines.
No
It
internet.
is
Can't tell anybody
forecasted
what's
that
going on
heavy
here
rainfall will continue in Huangshan.
because, because the
Gillen
government
flood
controls the internet.
disaster.
Look at that.
Expert reveals secrets of 4 upstream reservoirs. Amid claims by officials that Gillen City in Guangxi Province has faced the worst flood in 30 years, causing the suspension of operations at Gillen train station, Wang Weiluo, a hydraulic expert residing in Germany, has revealed that the 4 upstream reservoirs of Gillen have actually lost their flood control capabilities. In detail, Mr. Wang stated that according to China's urban planning and design, Gillen train station's flood control standards should withstand a once-in-100 years flood, but this waterlogging unexpectedly caused the train station to suspend operations. Therefore, it's not just the design of this train station that is problematic, but the entire city's flood control facilities. Many local residents believe that the flooding of Gillen's urban area was mainly due to the discharge from the upstream reservoirs. CCTV cited the deputy director of the Flood Control and Drought Relief Headquarters of the Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region, Zhou Yunkue, who said, according to his understanding from the Ministry of Water Resources, the main reason was that the upstream reservoirs were already full, passively releasing as much water as was incoming. The main upstream reservoirs include Qingshirtan, Fuzikou, Xiaorongjiang, and Chuanjiang, with Qingshirtan being relatively large. Mr. Wang claims that these 4 reservoirs are unsafe. On the surface, they claim to prevent a once-in-100 years flood, but now these are only capable of handling a once-in-20 years flood. Why not just block it? These reservoirs were built during the Great Leap Forward mainly for agricultural irrigation. After the economic reforms, as Gillen's tourism industry developed, the reservoir's functions changed to serve the tourism industry. The local government has realized that Gillen's landscape is peerless, and we can't have fluctuating water levels. It would ruin the scenery, so they use the upstream reservoirs to control the discharge, maintaining the water level of the Li River downstream in Yangshuo County.
It'll ruin the scenery.
They believe this preserves natural beauty. So now, these 4 reservoirs are primarily tasked with this role, and their flood control function has essentially diminished. The hydraulic expert analyzed, on the other hand, after Xi Jinping took office, he implemented a system where each reservoir has 3 managers responsible for its safety. However, the reservoir staff are only provided with a basic salary by the state. Any additional bonuses must be earned through the reservoir's operations. Thus, according to Mr. Wang, all reservoir managers in China now just aim to profit from the reservoirs, to earn the wages for their employees below them. That is their sole goal. They are reluctant to discharge water because once they do, they lose a tool for making money. They can sell the water, and if they maintain the water level of the Li River, the local tourism board will pay them. So, they are unwilling to release water, but if it rains heavily and the water level rises rapidly, they must release water immediately for the safety of their reservoir and themselves. Mr. Wang has stated that the Chinese Communist Party has constructed numerous reservoirs in the Guangxi area. Some of these projects have elevated the flood levels in the region, resulting in frequent occurrences of both water and drought disasters. While some academics attribute these to natural disasters, if one peels back the layer of natural disasters, it becomes apparent that they are in fact man-made disasters. These incidents exemplify the CCP's ideology of man conquers nature. Chengdu subway construction collapse. Residents evacuate urgently in the early morning. At around 3 a.m. on June 21st.
So, this is another disaster, right? And this has just happened like last week. So, all this stuff about like rushing to show the West how great communism is and beauty and like how great, they basically fake a lot of shit, right? The foundations are never really, built properly. And, and one of the greatest things you learn about anything when it comes to buildings is the foundation's got to be right. You can't build on sand, right? You can't build on clay. You got to really make sure it's solid, and excuse me, just got to keep the shake, or it's like all the clay glaze goes to the bottom and it's just watery at the top, and so you don't want it to settle, otherwise it'll just be like watery and be like a wash look to it and not solid. So for those of you guys just joining, so a couple over the last couple of weeks, probably a month or two, as I've been live streaming these sort of videos, rather than actually talking about comic books and stuff or interviewing someone, I find it easier to like build, do the sculptures and show you guys videos, so I'm not like talking all the time, because I'm trying to concentrate on this. So this is actually part of a donation for a fundraiser that I built out of paper clay, hand built, which meant like no machinery was used, it's just me and my hands and like little hand tools. And so I dropped this off about 10 days ago to get fired. That's why I can handle it like this before, otherwise it will break. So it's been fired in the kiln. This is the stage called bisque, so it's like solid. It's been baked through, and now I'm putting the undercoat on, which is blue, and I'm going to put red on as well. So I'm doing the blues, and then the reds are going to go around here, like to stick out. And then I'm going to leave it, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to take it back probably tomorrow if I get it done today, and they're going to basically, they'll put this in the kiln again to do the undercoats, fire that, and it'll look just like this. But then on top of that, my friend Hannah, who's like the gallery manager there, who kind of co-runs the place, she's going to put this thing into a clear glaze and then fire it again, and so it'll look like the shiny blue or shiny red on there. And so it'll be like this beautiful clear thing. So these are like, if I remember right, these are like lead free, by the way, right? So which means you can eat off those. Like, I mean, you can eat ice cream, dessert, whatever, but it's like, or have a big globe or whatever. Was it not globe? The globe, goblet of wine, right? Or whatever, mead, And so this is, like I said, it's a donation. It's like for a fundraiser for the Quarry Art Center here in Whangarei, and it's so help with the running of the place. And each year we do this, and then it's like, I think we're up to our 25th year. And so this year decided to do like in the past it's been like the Great Plate, and then this year they've decided to do a creative cup. So everybody's in their own like style, they do their own thing, right? So me, I build clay with clay, so this is how I do my stuff. Since I'm talking about this, I'll show you this my own the stuff that I actually do, and the style that I do is actually this. This is the smallest one that I've done so far, but I do larger ones. So stuff like this is what I call my neo-tribal art style, and this has just been wood fired, which means there's no glaze or anything. Like the sap and stuff in the wood itself is the coating. So wherever it's placed, it's like this. These are just sculptures, so you're not like supposed to eat off it, wood fire things, but it's like layers and layers of cuts, and like it's kind of like Minecraft, but this is before even Minecraft was a thing. Is what when I started this like about 20 odd years ago. Is it like 20? No, about 30 years ago, about 94, 95, around then. That's when I decided that this is my art style will be. So that's a small one, but there is a really big one here. So while I'm on this topic, I'll show you guys, and then we can move on with the rest of the video. So this is part of a set. I'm doing about 24 of them. It's called it's basically rugby balls, shaped like rugby balls. But as you can see here, this is. Let me see if I get the screen off there for a second, and we'll get back to that soon. So as you can see, they're always hollow, and yeah, It's called, yeah, tofu cement. Tofu drag is the actual name of the building. Substrate, they kind of call it. You know, the Chinese mainlanders have their own name for it. It's called tofu drag. So yeah, so these are like talking about the buildings, right? How they fall over all the time, and the quality of their product is like really trash that they build with because they're cutting corners all the time. And there's actually a saying for that. It's like that they use as like part of their culture. It just said like you don't want a culture that this is what it's like becomes normal, that you actually have a saying for it, which is called if you can cheat, cheat. I can't pronounce it in Chinese, or I think Cantonese it is, but that's basically what it thinks to in English. It's like if you can cheat, cheat. So they do. That's why you see a lot of fake stuff. Anyway, but I love the Chinese, right? Because my first girlfriend was Taiwanese, so I'm like, yeah, this is what concerns me, is watching these people just have a boot on their neck. The everyday normal people, not the only people I have a problem with is the government, right? And those people who are like trashing the normal people, like this you just saw, people who are freaking drowning and dying, being flooded. So this is the style. I've shown this before, but like since we there, so it's kind of like my style. But there are different, I only do one-off pieces, so you end up like getting, I'll do one and I'll move on to the next one, and so whatever ends up being that way. So they're always hollow. This is quite large. This is like same stage as that, which is like fire, and this is like this is sculpture clay, which is different to that. So you're not really supposed to eat over this, and it's not for that. So one day I'll glaze them all, but I got to make about 20 more of these because I've done 4 so far, and which means I can make about 4 out of 1 bag. So which means I need another 4 bags, and they're like about $30 a bag. It's not about like money because it's time, right? I'd rather be making comics than this. So, but like these take me like probably about, I don't know, about maybe, I don't know, 2-3 weeks to make one, because you got to wait for it to harden, and then you got to carve and stuff, and then you slowly build up from like a little thing and round course. So yeah, another rugby ball, totally hollow. You can see right through it. There you go. You can see bits of red slightly there. Here we go. Let me see. Probably see my eyes through that somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but I've got 4 done so far, and this was done like about 4 years ago. So you can see how long it takes me to get around to them. But each year I do basically, I make sure I put something in for the fundraiser, because it's really, I believe in it. I believe in being part of the arts community and helping. Making sure that there's people have what they need there. So yeah, so red and blue glaze on glaze, right? And then the rest will be just clear, and you'll just be able to see that. I mean, I was offered all the other colors, but I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go with like keep it simple, so there's only certain things stick out. And the other thing is these glazes, they cost about $10 each, and I don't want to, and that one's 9, sorry. And the red's 14, because the red's always like the most mixed hardest, and the next one's like the silver and bronze and all that stuff. All right, so let's get back to this thing. Here we go. So the other thing I should mention is like the fact that all the agriculture is gone, right? Like the land, like all that food that they were growing is gone, right? So and then they won't be able to grow for months, like months and months. Not only that, now they got to find money to buy new food for themselves, and now you've already seen that the government is going to help, so they're their own. So whatever they have is going to go into building their homes again. Not only that, now they're going to have to buy food in. And you know what happens during disasters? There's always going to be scalpers, right? So food's going to be even more expensive. Not only that, now they're going to buy from overseas or other areas, right? And the other areas are not going to want to give it up because in the north area, which we'll see later, there's a friggin' drought.
A massive collapse occurred at a subway station under construction in Chengdu, Sichuan. Videos and photos circulated online showed a substantial hole, revealing a completely hollow space beneath. Alarmingly, this collapse occurred just slightly over 1 meter away from a high-rise residential building nearby. This incident resulted in the urgent evacuation of residents during the early morning hours. Some evacuees have been accommodated in hotels. After the collapse, Chengdu Rail Transit Construction issued a statement claiming that the incident was triggered by the natural bursting of 2 municipal water pipes, which led to
Apologies, guys. Yes, fun times. Because I was going to shake this, and that's when I saw that, and I just like focused on it. So this is like the punch colors. So this is one of the great plates. I actually bought it back because I was like one-off thing. And so the eyes on her, this is Incredigo, my own superhero. And so, you know, I painted everything. And then also the, you know, it's kind of raised, you know, and so somebody else like made this and I painted it. So it's a one-off one, right? So there's never going to be another one of these. And so it's like a chibi based off on my design of the plastic one. But then it's the her legs, oh sorry, her all these parts here, the light parts, they glow in the dark. And so I bought it back. And yeah, no, it was I was muted. Thanks, dude. I was muted. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, so I just thought I'd show you that. That's why it's like you know, the red and blue. It's the plunge colors and Incredigo colors together. But and by you know, by when Nathaniel's saying plunge colors, it's like the plunge comics colors. It's like PS. Plunge Studios and all that. Red and blue is our main colors. It's like the primary colors. Okay, so yeah, apologies for that. I didn't realize I was muted. So here's the thing, right? So one of the I watched a channel called I think it's China Truth or something, or I can't remember like the exact name, but I'll be able to find it soon. And there's two guys, like one's from America and one's from South Africa, who used to live for 10 years in China. And they were saying when they played this video, they were like, this, you know, from another channel, but and this is from like China Truth, and I think they've got Fact Finders. Yeah, China Fact Finders is their channel's name, and they're really great guys. And you know, they do a show every Saturday morning, New Zealand time, so it's Friday, where in the Northern Hemisphere. So they were saying like if you look at this, if you really think about it, all these houses that are around this thing, right, are basically unlivable. You would not want to be living in those. Where is it?
First, a massive collapse occurred at a subway station under construction in Chengdu, Sichuan.
Yeah, so pop back up there. So there's all these at the top here, right, and at the bottom here, there are all these skyscrapers, like skyscrapers, like multi-story buildings and businesses on the ground floor and all those. None of those are safe anymore, and this is what's called a tofu drag, as you know, as Ross was saying. So this is crazy, right? Look at this. Like, there's nothing there under this road in the middle of the street. There's nothing there. There's just like pylons just like holding it up. A road, the whole. This is supposed to be a new subway train thing. It just fell out. It's crazy.
On June 21st, a massive collapse occurred at a subway station under construction in Chengdu, Sichuan. Videos and photos circulated online showed a substantial hole, revealing a completely hollow space beneath. Alarmingly, this collapse occurred just slightly over 1 meter away from a high-rise residential building nearby. This incident resulted in the urgent evacuation of residents during the early morning hours. Some evacuees have been accommodated in hotels. After the collapse, Chengdu Rail Transit Construction issued a statement claiming that the incident was triggered by the natural bursting of 2 municipal water pipes, which led to the road collapsing over a 12-meter stretch. In contrast, the Chengdu Water Supply Company issued a notice attributing the cost to the settling of the foundation at the subway construction site, which they claim resulted in the breakage and leakage of 300 of their pipes. This has led to a blame game between the two entities. In reaction, mainland netizens have expressed skepticism and irony in their online comments, such as, "Is the road surface thinner than a cracker? Has the underground of Chengdu been hollowed out?" One cautions that the enormity of that hole must be most frightening for the neighboring residents. It's scary, and there is a pressing need for a thorough investigation of the cause. Shocking rise in sudden deaths among individuals in their 30s in China.
Yeah.
Recently in China, there has been a notable increase in sudden deaths among celebrities.
So we're going to go to this other one and then come back to that one, because I want to show you from a couple of days ago. This is, I think this is from China Observer. So there's a different channels. They're not from the same channel. So you guys say, oh, he's only playing the same videos from the same people. So it's only one person saying. No, I look at like several things, and because you got to do that. You got to, you can't just take one viewpoint on these things. Now, which video is it? Flooding, Foxconn. No, that's just 15 hours ago. Hold on, let me get to the latest videos. So this is another channel that was China Truths, right? So this is China Observer, right? So here we go, right? Now this is from about a day ago, so yesterday. The other video was from today, 15 hours ago. So now here's a date, Guangdong, and this is the flooding, right?
From the night of June 15th to the 16th, heavy rainstorms hit the northern part of Meizhou, Guangdong. The water levels in the reservoirs rose dramatically. On the night of the 16th, without any prior warning, the authorities released water from the reservoirs in Pingyuan County and Jialing County.
Right?
This caused widespread flooding, submerging many villages. Residents banded together to save themselves, their faces wet with sweat and tears, unable to sleep all night. The villages were heavily damaged, with roads and bridges destroyed, making evacuation very difficult. Now that the floodwaters have receded, the streets are littered with furniture and debris brought by the water, leaving a scene of devastation. On June 21st, the aftermath in areas like Meixian, Jialing in Guangdong, Jian County in Anhui, Guilin in Guangxi, and Longyan in Fujian revealed extensive damage. Wow, the bridges are broken and the roads are impassable. The trees in front of the house have been swept away. What a huge flood.
Rescue efforts, free help. My wife and I are volunteering to help move luggage for free. These are tourists. Today, we finally got into the disaster area. This is my hometown. The houses are completely destroyed. The roofs have been blown to the other side of the river. The power of nature is unbeatable. The shops are ruined and useless. Many refrigerators and steamers have been washed away by the water. We worked all morning but couldn't finish the cleanup. This is the biggest flood in 40 years, and almost all the first floors are flooded.
Due to the Chinese government's information blockade and the inaction of officials, people had to rely on themselves for rescue. On June 19th, hearing rumors of a potential dam failure, residents of Jialing County in Meizhou, Guangdong, packed their belongings and fled, with rescue vehicles hurriedly moving through the streets.
What's going on?
I heard the reservoir is about to collapse. Some people say this is a natural disaster, but it isn't. The flooding was caused by the combined release of water from the Changtan Reservoir in Jialing County and the Yushu River Reservoir in Pingyuan. They released the water at night and only gave a 10-minute warning. On June 20th, disaster victims in Zhongchi Township, Wuping County, Longyan, Fujian, reported that after CCTV reporters took pictures the previous day, the relief work stopped.
Today is June 20th, the fourth day after the disaster. It's a little after 8 a.m. We're right in front of the town government. Yesterday, reporters from the central media and other places came to take pictures, but today they've stopped working. This is how they treat us in the most severely affected areas. The government is doing too little. We can't do any work inside because it's all smelly. This is the kind of society we live in now.
On June 19th, a post-floods in Shanghang, Longyan, Fujian was shared online. One sarcastically remarked, "Thank the party for its greatness and care. Without you, we wouldn't have today." The video showed an elderly couple covered in mud, resembling living statues. Such scenes were never shown in Chinese media. In Guangdong, the flooding hasn't fully receded, and now places like Guilin in Guangxi are also experiencing severe floods. In Guilin, residents used bathtubs as boats, no one went to work, and everyone focused on escaping. Tourists arriving in Guilin were shocked to find the entire city submerged in muddy water, with hospitals, bus stations, and banks submerged. I'm really devastated. I was at work and no one told me that it would flood.
This is June 20th at 6:50 a.m. The water level in Guilin has slightly receded overnight, but the Anxi North area was still flooded. People were seen wading through chest-high water with smiles, not as if escaping, but as if having fun, reflecting the Chinese people's forced optimism amid despair.
A group of people wading through chest-deep water with smiles on their faces. They don't look like they're escaping, but rather having fun. The people in China live with a sense of helpless optimism. Tourists in China can't go anywhere. They don't need to go to the Li River to take a boat ride anymore. The hungry and tired people in Guilin are fortunate to have kind-hearted individuals coming to their rescue. The underground garage looks like the sea, which might sound exaggerated, but is actually the reality. On June 19th, a female employee at a pharmacy near Jiaxiang Market in Guilin was electrocuted due to flooding from the heavy rain. A netizen commented, "Frequent heavy rains, yet our infrastructure is so fragile that it can't even ensure people's safety." The government shouts, "People first," yet ordinary people lose their lives in daily activities. This tragedy exposes the flaws in public facilities and the disregard for human life. Natural disasters combined with human negligence have become the norm, with people's lives being treated as insignificant. Safety and security seem to be mere empty promises. The southern floods have been ignored by President Xi Jinping, who would have quickly sent billions if this had happened in Africa, yet he does nothing for his own suffering people. On June 20th, at Nanxi Shan Hospital in Guilin, severe...
That is the most telling about this whole thing, right? That people are basically in China are realizing that their own government doesn't care about them. All it cares about is looking good to the West and trying to prove the West that communism and their way of doing things is the right way while their people suffer. And so this thing here is freaking amazing because remember, they are building infrastructure all over the, Africa, South Africa, Sub-Sahara, the whole Belt and Road initiative, trying to connect all that land mass, so they can get trade, like roads everywhere, so everything can get to everywhere faster from China, because it's all about getting things from China to everywhere else, not about helping everywhere else. It's basically, we'll give you money. Where's the money come from? From the poor people, right? So, poor Chinese people, right? And so now the Chinese are going, oh, so if this happened in Africa, you'd be running there, helping them out. But it's here in our own country, you don't. So this is,
King, who would have quickly sent billions if this had happened in Africa,
yeah.
security seemed to be mere empty regard for human life. Natural disasters combined with human negligence have become the norm, with people's lives being treated as insignificant. Safety and security seem to be mere empty promises. The southern floods have been ignored by President Xi Jinping, who would have quickly sent billions if this had happened in Africa, yet he does nothing for his own suffering people. On June 20th, at Nanxi Shan Hospital in Guilin, severe flooding trapped 1,200 patients and staff. During breakfast distribution, there was chaos due to insufficient food, with nurses clutching supplies to prevent looting. A netizen stated, "In China's system, humanity is repeatedly tested, not guided towards kindness. After the disaster, official information was delayed, and internal communication in the hospital was chaotic, leading to rumors and fear. In this information vacuum, selfishness and fear are magnified, with food looting being a surface issue rooted in fear and self-interest." The hospital's centralized power and lack of effective oversight and accountability were highlighted. After the disaster, there were insufficient material reserves and emergency plans, with no one held responsible, emphasizing systemic flaws. Absolute power leads to absolute corruption, fostering evil in human nature. In China's system,
That's
space for
basically
civil
communism
society
for you.
organizations is limited, and people lack awareness and ability for self-rescue and mutual aid. During disasters, reliance is on the government, and if the government fails to respond effectively, chaos ensues. On June 20th, in Guilin, residents at Liuhua Road picked up food soaked by floodwater amidst the chaos.
You don't want to eat.
Continuous heavy rains and floods in southern China caused the Li River in Guilin to overflow, flooding the train station. Officials stated that the flood was the worst in over 30 years. Some interviewed residents said that the flood was caused not just by the heavy rain, but also by releasing reservoir water. Old reservoirs built during Mao Zedong's era are now sources of flooding. Even state media admitted that rising river levels were related to reservoir water releases. On June 20th, CCTV reported that the water level in the Li River in Guilin was continuously rising. At 12:55 a.m. on the 20th, the Guilin Hydrological Station recorded a flood peak of 148.8 meters, exceeding the warning level by 2.88 meters, marking the worst flood in over 30 years. On June 19th, CCTV reported that due to continuous heavy rains and the release of water from upstream reservoirs, the water levels in major rivers in Guilin rose rapidly. According to hydrological data, as of 5 p.m. on the 19th, the water level at Guilin Station rose to 148.5 meters, surpassing the 1998 Li River flood level of 148.4 meters, and marking the largest flood in Guilin since 1998. Mr. Wang, a resident of Quanzhou in Guilin, said on June 19th, "Yesterday, the water rose to about 3 meters deep, and the road in front of Shuinan village was flooded and impassable." Reports from Sina and other Chinese media on June 19th showed the flooding situation from Quanshan Bridge to Jingping Mountain in Guilin. The main urban area of Guilin experienced severe flooding, leading to the closure of several scenic spots, suspension of many bus routes, and school closures. Guilin railway station was flooded, with water entering the waiting hall. The Six Horses scenic spot under the Li River Bridge in Guilin was completely submerged and unrecognizable. Mr. Wang from Qixing District in Guilin told mainland media that this year's flood might be worse than the one in 1998. His residence is near a tributary of the Li River, and the first-floor shops along the street were already flooded, with the surrounding area experiencing power outages. Another resident, Mr. Ling from Qixing District, said he couldn't get to the city center. In the deepest parts, the water reached chest level, turning Guilin's streets into waterways, and residents had to use boats to get around. A video showed people attending a banquet at an ancestral hall in Guilin being interrupted by knee-deep water, forcing them to leave in the rain with umbrellas. Regarding the disaster, Guangxi officials only explained the heavy rain from a meteorological perspective, but the CCTV report mentioned the impact of continuous heavy rain and water release from upstream reservoirs. Mr. Wang from Quanzhou told Epoch Times continuous heavy rain took place all night the night before yesterday and continued during the day, leading to the flood. He also mentioned the issue of releasing water from the reservoir. He said there have been many floods caused by reservoirs unable to hold the water, leading to large-scale water releases. This time, reservoir water release is also a reason. Naturally, the heavy rain is a cause, with several warnings issued. According to the Guilin Daily, Guilin has 448 reservoirs. The four largest reservoirs upstream of the Li River are Fuzikou Reservoir, Chuanjiang Reservoir, Xiaorongjiang Reservoir, and Qingshitan Reservoir. Mr. Wang, who has studied Chinese communist history, pointed out that the reservoirs built during Mao Zedong's era have become sources of flooding. He said, these old reservoirs, built under inadequate conditions back then, have required continuous reinforcement. Strengthening the dams now costs several times more than their original construction. If a dam breaks, the downstream areas would be flooded. These hastily built reservoirs often become sources of flooding. In Anhui, the seasonal Meiyu rains have been intense, especially in Huangshan. According to China Weather News, by 4 p.m. on the 20th, the average rainfall was 11.2 times more than the same period in previous years, causing widespread damage. Walls collapsed, and minivans were swept away by the flood. In Tunxi District, the rainfall on the 20th broke records, possibly equaling or exceeding a month's worth of rain. The rain bands are expected to continue affecting Anhui on the 21st and 22nd, bringing more heavy rain. The beautiful scenery of Huangshan has turned into a vast expanse of water. The heavy rain has caused houses to collapse, and there are power, internet, and communication outages, leaving many people unaccounted for. On June 20th, local netizens reported that all the homes in the township were flooded, and some houses were directly washed away. Why is there no news from Chinese media? Currently, during the 3 summers period, summer harvest, summer planting, and summer management, China is expecting unusual weather. 8 provinces, including Hunan, are facing heavy rains, while 11 provinces, including Henan, are experiencing high temperatures and drought, affecting nearly 300 million people. Henan, a major grain-producing area, is expected to face a drought period lasting over a month.
So we're talking about agriculture, right? So you see on the south, the levee's been let out. They had 10 minutes warning at night, and they've got flooding for like several meters high. All their houses basically, damaged. Most of the foundations are gone and weakened. So when it does dry out, a lot of those buildings will probably need reinforcement or probably will topple over. Foundation damages, there's not much you can do, especially, you don't know how weak it is and could take years to find out how bad the damage is. But then in the north, right, we're talking about food, right? Like lack of food, or their farming areas are like all underwater, and there could be could take weeks for it all to go away. But then also the topsoil's damaged, and that takes a long time, because all that topsoil gets washed away, and that's topsoil is what you need to grow all your food in. And so now in the north, there's no water, right? They're facing drought, and so which means they're getting hit in the south with rain and flooding, so no food being grown, and whatever that was grown is just gone, wiped out by the flood. In the north, the food they were growing is wiped out by the heat, and that's gone. So what you're going to see is a lot of, which I mentioned on Facebook, there's going to be quite a large buy-up of grain and rice and stuff like that from, rest of the world, because there's 1 billion or so. I can't remember the last amount of how many Chinese there are, but you're looking at these huge areas here in the north and you live in the south. And so there's going to be a lot of prices and all that, like cost of food and all that's going to go up because of that. So these guys are getting and this is like the farmers, right? The poor people getting hit by this. And here's the thing. They still have to pay their tribute to the government, to the local village head, who's the member of a CCP. They still have to pay their dues every month on time. Nobody gives a shit about them not being able to grow food or provide for their own, because that's what communism works under. You got to pay your bill. It's like a mob mentality, right? Yo, what? You didn't earn enough this month. That doesn't mind. Go get your savings. You got to pay me on time. Basically, that's what communism is, right? It's basically a mob. If you really want to think about the easiest way to understand what that's like, being ruled by, a political party that has all the power, and always turns up for the money, that's communism for you. That's mob mentality. So here we go.
Reports indicate that parts of Hunan, Jiangxi, Fujian, Zhejiang, Guangxi, Guangdong, Yunnan, and Guizhou have experienced heavy to very heavy rains. Similarly, Heilongjiang, Jilin, Liaoning, Hebei, and Shandong have seen heavy rains or storms. Additionally, some areas in Shanxi, Shanxi, Henan, Anhui, Jiangsu, Hubei, Sichuan, Chongqing, and Hunan are experiencing high temperatures. Henan and Hubei have 5 national weather stations that broke the June temperature record. According to China Weather Network, surface temperatures in parts of Shanxi, Henan, Hebei, and Shandong may exceed 60 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, with some areas even surpassing 70 degrees Celsius. A representative from the China Climate Center's Meteorological Disaster Risk Management Office stated that 42 national meteorological stations in Hebei, Shandong reached extreme high temperature thresholds, and 86 stations recorded daily maximum temperatures above 40 Celsius. The high temperatures affected an area of 500,000 square kilometers, impacting around 290 million people. Since late April, Henan's average temperature has been 1.8 degrees Celsius higher than the same period in previous years, making it the second highest since 1961. The average rainfall has been 71% less than usual. Meteorological reports indicate that more than 60% of Henan's soil is experiencing drought, with most areas lacking moisture, affecting machine sowing. Over 3 million acres of land cannot be sown due to the drought. Latest drought monitoring data shows that in 16 cities, including Anyang, Hebei, Jiaozuo, Kaifeng, and Luoyang, have reached severe drought levels at 72 national meteorological stations, lasting for over 10 days. Since June 12th, Zhengzhou has continuously issued red high temperature warnings. In China, during a hot weather spell, a magpie was seen standing in the middle of the road with its beak open. A man stopped his car to give it some water. It is expected that by June 29th, the drought conditions and affected areas will expand further. Meteorological departments predict that Henan may face over a month of low rainfall and drought. On June 14th, a former head of the Flood and Drought Disaster Reduction Center at the China Institute of Water Resources and Hydropower Research commented, Henan has uneven rainfall distribution, experiencing localized droughts almost every year, and large-scale province-wide droughts occur frequently. Historically, severe droughts have almost never spared Henan. This year's drought is unusual in its timing, characteristics, and development. This drought has occurred during the critical summer planting season. Traditionally, northern China experiences spring droughts, but this year the drought is concentrated during the 3 summers period of harvest, planting, and management, which is crucial for the annual crop cycle. This year's drought is characterized by widespread high temperatures and low rainfall, developing rapidly. Temperatures across northern regions have soared, with continuous heat and no rain. More than half of the meteorological monitoring stations have reached moderate drought levels or worse, with areas of severe and extreme drought expanding. Whether drought or flood, the true situation is rarely shown in Chinese media. Some netizens have expressed gratitude to conscientious independent media for revealing the truth about current events in China. There's a saying that when humans act immorally, heaven will punish them. Today's China is filled with heinous acts, leading to inevitable consequences of public anger and natural disasters.
So that was that. I think we have enough about natural disasters. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at the young people in China and what they're going through right now. Because it's like each year there's like millions of graduates, and they're really, yeah, there's some stuff going on there that's like, I feel like here we go. So let me get that one. So this one is, where are we? This is from another commentator from 12 days ago. This is China Insider by David Zhang. Yeah, let me bring it up. Excuse me, just wanted to make sure I had the right video. So that was China Observer. Before that, we were looking at China Truth. And now this is this is called the biggest problem facing China's future starts here, right? And when like millions of young graduates, right? It's crazy. So this is David Zhang, and he's got 1 million followers, subscribers. So people.
So you see videos like these during exam season.
高三8班全体起立，迎安白马，逐梦韶华。高三8班全体上阵，举起勇拳，跟我写下明确目标，怀抱梦想，把握今天，坚定信仰，思想专注，重在可能，勤学苦练，基础为高，见证节奏，自律坚持，不惧不放。
So Chinese student leaders trying to encourage the fellow students to stay steady. Right?
引爆
Stay
能
steady
量
hard.，
有人没有？远呀！
These type of videos where folks argue over small problems are very common in China. So is this type of video, a woman on her knees begging to be paid for the labor that she had done. And this is a video of local authorities sending in thugs to attack farmers after banning them from farming on the land. Videos like these are just from the last day or so on Twitter. But this is a reflection, a speck of a vastly miserable lifestyle that Chinese people live through. Unfortunately, this has been forced upon them amidst wealth discrepancies, social class differences, and the fact that in China, money means everything. China today, after 75 years of communist rule, has become a reality check for many people. But no other generation or group of people in China has been hit the hardest by this reality check than young people today. This is a photo uploaded to Chinese social media. What many young people in China resonated with is the fact that this is viewed as their life cycle. From graduating to go to a college, acing their entrance exam, to graduating college, and then coming out of the job and then putting on that yellow delivery man outfit. Because that's what many grads are now going into. Instead of going into what they study for their post-secondary career, they're now doing delivery jobs or different sorts of low income or low wage paying jobs to get by. Expectation versus reality in China.
多了出这美丽的世界。拿出来，可以了吗？你们敢做啊？我中央大学毕业了，之前还是学生会主席，现在公司才1000八，你到底看不起谁啊？我直接。老鼠屎的多，老鼠屎的乖，老鼠有狗当常吃。党政委人员，我全国武术冠军，狗都不是这样录的吧？长不了是吧？长不了那就。欢迎叶文瑶和你保驾护航。我的梦想是当一名优秀的乒乓球运动员，我要努力训练，早日打出水准。
签我这种协议的要求主张千万百计为病人解决病痛，实际是看不见。对啊，这里那个是还可以啊。我给你轻点哈，因为看反映过我们的有些会员开心800发呀，500哈。
我学的是市场的营销，以后我可是要调控市场宏观和微观经济的。我10毕业，我们小区前面医院，后边学校，左边商场，右边公交，你考虑这一个机会比这姐姐。
Now, this sentiment is quite popular and visible amongst young people, and they're starting to adopt this new terminology, which is called juan or inner juan. And it is used to describe the fierce competition in China from things like dating to house to, how many views do you get online, or just anything that can be used to compete against others. And they really go into like the minor things. And because after the Chinese society screws them over because of the government and the party policies, and they have really no other ways but to adopt this mindset, this idea of inner juan, in order to survive their way through how the current society is treating them. Now, this is actually considered the good part of it. The bad part is that many others who have been pressured so much that they can't take it anymore has suffering the direct and dramatic consequences of the government policies. One of them is because the expectation is so different from reality. They were raised by parents who maybe went to college during a time when it initially was still good. And they were raised to think that by studying hard, by working hard in this society, they can contribute to be a productive member of society after they graduate and landing in a job that is supposed to do that. But the reality is very different in the city of Shanghai, or that there's so many facades that they put up over the years. But in reality, these videos tell us the real life experience of people in China today. And so many people, again, young people especially, they come to the realization that what the government's been telling them is very different than what they're really experiencing. That's why there are tens of thousands of people trekking across Latin America to go to Mexico, to the US southern border, because they rather risk the danger of walking and traveling through cartel and conflict zones than to stay another day in China, right? So the risk of staying in China is higher to them than to walking that dangerous journey of running the line to come to the United States. Now, as we sit here, this last weekend, 13 million students in China just took the entrance exam for their college, or called Gaokao, which is basically the life and death exam for their future. And again, ultra competition and the reality of pointless college degrees in China. For one, different provinces in China have different difficulties when it comes to the testing and when it comes to the score requirements, and as well as competitions, because some certain provinces, for example, have more student populations taking the exam. So obviously, if you're the best of the best, you may not be the best of the best. So I personally know a PhD student who could not make it in China, not because he wasn't smart enough, but because the competition is so fierce that he had to come to a top Western university and study here instead, because he couldn't get into a like a top tier college in China because of these competition, right? You're up against twice the size of students than if you would in many different other countries. And for second, now today, college degrees in China mean nothing. Even master's degrees mean nothing. PhDs, maybe. But that's the reality, because today it's been diluted that pretty much everybody can go to college, but because there's not enough jobs available to those of the same level, then competition becomes fierce. So the standard for what is considered to be a great student has moved up tremendously, yet the level of support and where they can go afterwards has not moved at all. In fact, it has decreased since the post-COVID era. You have as many college graduates.
The funny thing about that, like, look at the appreciation for education, say in the West, right? Like at the moment in America, right? And I guess in Europe, with all these protests on campus. You couldn't do those protests on campus in China. You'd be gone. You'd be gone. Your parents would be gone. They'll be like, wait, your son's doing this, your son's doing that. Right, you're gone. Right? Yet, because we live in a democracy and we tolerate freedom of speech and so on, we allow these, so-called agitators, right, to go about ruining the daily routines of everybody else. That's why people go, oh, it'll be great under communism. Yeah, but most of you won't survive under communism. It's like the whole the meme about, like, and I'm part of the rainbow, right? So the meme about, like, LGBTs like in Middle East, like gays for Palestine and all that stuff, right? All that. Like, when are they going to wake up and realize that they would never survive a day there in the Middle East? Because they just think, there's in their head, it's like, just because these people here in the West, they don't throw you off buildings because they're from the Middle East, doesn't mean those people in the Middle East won't throw you off the building for being gay. Anyway, so it's interesting how we don't look at education as a thing that's actually good for us, yet the Chinese struggle to get PhDs because a degree, a bachelor's, isn't enough anymore because everybody's going for that job. And there's a couple more videos with that, but I'm gonna let and by the way, David here is from China, so he knows what he's talking about because he's from there, right?
It's coming out as many that are going in taking the college exam.
不要听张雪峰那小子的话啊！新闻学卓越人才实验班
major excellent class，
5院4系，华东政法大学直接他妈入职美团。
So every year you have 8 to 10 million people who are taking the exam, and you have about 8 to 10 million people coming out of college after 4 years who are now basically a burden to the job market, not because they are bad, but because there's simply not enough to satisfy the needs of the, of course, the jobs. And so it's a PvP competition in China. And that's just the urban city we're talking about. In rural areas, there's much less access to good jobs, let alone, anything that basically could be life-changing to their entire family. Now, we know that the SATs here in the United States is very competitive, right? You need a good SAT score if you want to get into the Ivy Leagues or whatnot. But that's not the end of the line if you don't. And simply because, there are different things like community colleges, there's other universities you can transfer through. It's a very different thing in China. For one, you're against double the applicant pools when it comes to graduation. From different organizations in the US, you see about 3.8 million graduates in the year of 2023. In China, it's double that. And this year it's even more, considering it's 13.42 million high school graduates that are taking the college exam. So because of the sheer number of competitors you have, think about it, that alone is already enough pressure for them. So in the 13 million here, a third of it are redos. And so basically they restudy for a year and they try to take the exam again to improve the score. But that's usually not the case for majority of the people, because the later you go to college, the worse the job market could become, or things could change, right? So most people just, do the first year. Now, of course, students still travel overseas to study abroad, try to get a foreign degree. That was considered a good option back in the days. But as news suggests recently, many government positions no longer hire those that have lived outside of China for 6 months or more. And so that's, again, because of the national security policies that the CCP has put out for so-called stability. Now, Chinese students who have lived abroad for more than 6 months are
now. The reason for that is like they don't want that indoctrinated Western ideaed Chinese student coming back and indoctrinating their communist friends, right? Like a little disease, virus catching up. We want freedom here in China now. We like the freedom we got over there, and now we're gonna that's basically it. So now if you're living, you're not gonna get a job. Yeah, those who have lived outside mainland need not apply.
Not eligible for those positions like policemen, etc. And not that you want to work for the government anymore anyways, because there's job cuts, there's wage cuts, because local governments are running out of money to support their workforce. And so these public servants, there's one case reported by the South China Morning Post that they were complaining that after she graduated with a literature degree, she was sent into the Gobi Desert, into the small town, what she called is a backwards little country, and she basically complained. Now, this drew widespread criticism and also some support as well for her words, because people are like, you should be grateful that you even have a job, a public servant job, that is. To other people, this is a stable job. To some people, this is a job. And to her, she actually has a job. Now, she got a job, what used to be described as the rice bowl of iron, meaning that it's job security. It's like the best thing you can get for somebody who's gone to college and wanting to, improve their life. Now, people here always talk about the idea of equity versus equality, right? Ignore all that. Just look at what's happening in China. This is supposed to be the champion, right, of utopia, of socialism, of equity or whatnot. And yet you have the biggest wealth discrepancy. You have the biggest corruption. You have the biggest problems when it comes to competing, like for young people, which is supposed to not happen in this so-called equitable situation. But here we are. Because the only thing that matters in China is who do you know? Which connection do you have? If you want a job, even at a little company, you need to know the right people. So relationships are so important in China. Now, I spent my time exposing the so-called beautification or the facades of China, right? We have the tofu buildings, the so-called beautiful skylines, all the scenic areas, etc., being fake, the fake waterfalls. That's all great. But deep down, there is a part that I constantly feel like, it's a scenario I have in my head, right? Thinking about my own experience. Would I be in a different situation had I still lived in China? Would I have a future? Now, this question has always bothered me, looking especially at this topic. It's very tough to talk about because there are so many like me around my age or younger who are now living through the situation in China. And so I'm always thinking like, how lucky am I to come out and to not have to deal with those consequences? Because I come from a very ordinary family, and there is no way for me to make it out, doing what I do now, unless there is some very special opportunity. Things like, would I have connections to make ends meet? Would I have a job? Would I even go to college? And the likely answer is no, because that's a reality of many young people in China today. That's why you see there's a trend of people buying up scratch cards, lottery tickets, or trying to make it big as an influencer. People want to find ways where they can do quick shortcuts to make money because they don't see any other long-term solutions for them at present.
我在郑州收破烂，目前每个月的收入能达到5位数。以前也怕被身边的人歧视，但当你的认知达到一定程度的时候，可能这些就不重要了。现在目前情况是。
Now, you see, back in the 1980s, when the whole college entrance exam was reintroduced following the Cultural Revolution, people really thought for those two generations that you could change your life by doing it well on the exam and then making it to the university. And that's really what many parents experience are like. They benefited from that. They got their lives changed, right? But the situation changed today. Nothing matters in college anymore. In a country where the sons are more valuable than the daughters, this whole focus of putting all of your hopes and dreams onto the only child, of course, there are many places that could go wrong. And that's just on the individual level. On a societal level, all of the hopes and dreams, all of these facade and the so-called, big China dream that the government has painted for its people, it's never come to realization. The facade, the apparent good economy, this image lasted maybe 10 to 20 years. Sure, people got rich temporarily. And then when COVID came, all of the shortcomings were exposed. Today, the fewer jobs that are available demand a 996 work culture, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And delivery jobs are becoming competitive jobs, not because they pay really well, but because they are the most available jobs to young people. And young girls are forced to sell for a living.
1000块能让别人养了20年的女儿对你曲意逢迎。
And so I mentioned there's the persistent issue, which is that without connection in China, you can't do anything, or you can't start a company, you don't land a good job. Nepotism is real in China. Issues with corruption is real in China. So looking at all those different factors as a young person, you don't feel like you have an eagerness to perform, to do anything. Now, I mentioned, right, opportunities for jobs and careers, etc. It's not unique to China, right? We have problems in different countries as well. But it's the unique settings and the unique reflection of this combination of the people, the government, and the Communist Party that makes everything so much worse. And this repeats year after year after year, because millions today graduate, millions more go into college. But what I think fundamentally changed it is that more and more people are aware of the fact that they're being hit hard by this iron fist of communism, that reality is setting in. And they realize that the hopes and dreams that was promised by the Communist Party never realized. So you see less and less people are willing to engage, putting their effort, their labor into society for production. You're seeing less people spending money. Things are getting more expensive. So I call it the miserable generations because from the get-go, they were set up to be screwed over. And that's the end result of the communist rule, because after flip-flop policies for decades, after trying to intoxicate people by drowning them in materialistic values, today we see that the very generation that they wanted to be the most successful have come back and decided to tell them, hey, look, we're the least successful generation that's ever been around. All right, that's it today for the episode on China's miserable generations, particularly the young people. If you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, bye-bye.
Right, there's David Zhang. So next one is the females. So is that the one we've got here? Is that one? So this is from 2 days ago. This is the numberless homeless females in China. Like, remember, they say there's no homeless people in China. That's their whole thing. Oh, look at America. There's people on the streets. They're homeless, and they tell their people, right? The media over there says, oh, there's no homeless people in China. The lie. It just continues lies upon lies and upon lies. So this came out 2 days ago. So this is like China sees large number of females homeless. Internet cafe guides viral as some live there 10 plus years living in an internet. Yeah, it's hard to describe. So might as well see it for yourself, right?
Beginning of this year, there's been a noticeable change among the low-wage temporary workers in Longhua, Shenzhen. More and more female homeless people are appearing. Many of them are recent college graduates who, after spending all the money they had, couldn't find jobs and were forced to sleep on the streets. In the face of rising unemployment, zero-cost short videos and live streaming to sell goods have become an alternative source of income for many of China's unemployed. The ways in which some short videos go viral are also becoming increasingly dramatic. This year, a unique group of internet celebrities emerged on Chinese short video platforms. They are referred to as internet cafe gods, like the person in this video. No one is left in my family. My dad died, my mom ran away, my grandparents are dead, the house collapsed. I'm the only one left in the household register. What do you think I have to fear? I fear nothing. I'm only afraid of not having money to eat today, or not receiving gifts during my live stream because without those gifts, I won't have money to go online. The man in this video, known as 10-year internet cafe god on the platform, is one of the famous internet cafe gods. He describes his current life situation and explains why he has become an internet cafe god. The title Internet Cafe God might sound prestigious, but the content of the videos is quite the opposite. They are at the bottom of society, living the most unfortunate lives, but are exceptionally free. They don't have stable jobs, or maybe they can't find any, so they only look to meet their daily food and accommodation needs with little material desires. Unlike the homeless people on the streets, they mostly choose to stay overnight in internet cafes. When they run out of money, they go out during the day to do temporary work, earning anywhere from a few dozen to a couple hundred yuan to cover the next few days' expenses for overnight stays and internet cafe fees.
US.
During this time, they use their phones to film daily life snippets, from eating to washing, and moving between internet cafes in various cities across the country. They maintain a sense of discipline while recording their lives in a diary-like manner through short videos. Through these videos, they gradually accumulate a number of followers on the platform, becoming known as internet cafe gods. Some of these videos start in a rundown, even filthy environment. The person in this video lives in an abandoned house. His bed is just a simple plastic mat, and the quilt looks very worn. Judging by the color of his socks, it's clear he hasn't attended to personal hygiene for a long time, and his scattered personal belongings are pitifully few. He then shows his kitchen, littered with trash and featuring a simple stove, his main spot for preparing food. The rest of the video captures his day living in this house, usually ending with scenes of him heading to the internet cafe for an all-night session. Other internet cafe gods attract attention by filming their all-night internet surfing sessions. For example, this man is one of the internet cafe gods. At around 7 p.m., he wakes up in an internet cafe booth, takes a sip of his drink, and heads to the bathroom with shampoo. A few minutes later, he finishes his personal hygiene routine. After cleaning up the trash-strewn booth, he goes out to eat roast chicken, which is the highest standard of his 3 daily meals. He decided to eat roast chicken that day because a fan wanted to see him film it. In the end, he picked a roast duck instead and returns to his cramped internet cafe booth to start his most important activity of the day, playing games all night. There are also videos where people surf the internet while ordering food, creating eating shows in internet cafes, giving viewers an immersive overnight companion experience. They are skilled at giving nicknames to items sold in internet cafes, such as calling Double Happiness brand cigarettes Little Joy and other nicknames.
Pressing as. Come on, everyone.
These foods are the standard fare for the internet cafe gods. There's also a common video theme, waking up in the internet cafe in the morning, waking up friends who stayed up all night playing games. This person in the video says, "Guy just woke up. Last night, I played games all night with another internet cafe god. Now we're getting ready to eat. Cover the water and come back to drink it later. I've seen him here playing for a long time too, so I might as well invite him to eat. Hey bro, have you eaten yet? If not, let me treat you to a meal." The first-person perspective makes it seem like the one staying up playing games freely is you, the viewer of the video. Actually, the title Internet Cafe God comes from the once popular Sanhe gods, a name given to a group of migrant workers who have given up on life and live in the slums. The content of Internet Cafe God videos is inspired by the Sanhe Gods group. In 2018, the Japanese NHK TV made a documentary called Sanhe Talent Market, China's Youth Who Live on a Daily Wage of 100 yuan, which introduced many people to this unique group of temporary workers. Their main characteristic is day labor, earning 100 to 150 yuan a day to barely get by, following the principle of work one day, eat for 3. Like the Sanhe gods, the Internet Cafe gods in short-form videos are mainly idle people in society, mostly living in 3rd and 4th tier cities, using internet cafes as their homes. They spend long periods in these places, sleeping when they close their eyes and playing games when they open them. This group was previously known as Internet Cafe Refugees, a term that originated in Japan. NHK once filmed a documentary about Japanese Internet Cafe refugees, interviewing mostly socially disadvantaged people, such as jobless hikikomori, people with severe social withdrawal, middle-aged people who quit due to depression, and security guards who couldn't afford rent and had to stay in internet cafes. The Internet Cafe refugee reflected a series of issues in Japanese society after the economic downturn. At that time, 38% of jobs in Japanese society were short-term, so many people without stable jobs drifted to public places. Unable to fit in mainstream society, they stood in stark contrast to the white-collar workers in office buildings. Currently, the Internet Cafe gods in Chinese short videos are essentially Internet Cafe refugees. Some indeed live as Internet Cafe refugees, while others see the potential for profit in this lifestyle and package themselves as Internet Cafe gods. Among all the Internet Cafe gods in short videos, the video blogger Fei Cai is probably the most special. He has 1.5 million followers, making him the top figure in this type of video blogging. While other Internet Cafe god videos start in the slums, Fei Cai's videos begin with him waking up in his meticulously arranged apartment. In his simple yet somewhat refined apartment, he has a heater, air conditioner, sofa, and refrigerator. Despite the shabby surroundings, he has all the basic living products. Unlike other Internet Cafe gods who buy cigarettes and drinks one at a time, Fei Cai's refrigerator is packed with Shandong White General cigarettes and cans of drinks like Red Bull. When he goes out, he brings back various fruits, snacks, and meals. Fei Cai never skimps on himself. Besides having barbecue or hot pot occasionally, he buys convenience store bento and Starbucks coffee whenever he wants after he started to earn income on his videos. By the end of the year, he used his savings to buy a 50-gram gold piece to wear around his neck, symbolizing good fortune for the coming year. Despite being poor, this young man maintains a certain standard of decency and often mentions that he can now earn over 100 yuan a day, more than he can spend. For many people, witnessing and even participating in the improvement of Fei Cai's living standards provides a sense of accomplishment, making them more inclined to watch his videos. One commentator noted that seeing Fei Cai's life improve gives them hope for their own future. People are attracted to the very...
It's kind of like living vicariously through somebody else, right? And you're trying to it's like, in a sense, it's like super chat. However, I mean, there are differences. Okay, I'm going to give you this. Read out my question, right? Whatever it may be for whatever thing, right? But it's a really strange situation because out here we know, hey, this is money we can afford, and we're good. Over there, the people who are actually giving them something they really can't afford, they basically are trying to actually live their life vicariously through these people to get out of the misery in their own life. And you can say, well, there are certain internet people who are like this, who basically make messiahs out of certain people, right? And so they will go to bat for them no matter what they say or do, right? And so that's kind of a dangerous situation in the West to be the thing about these guys is like, remember, there's not supposed to be any homeless people in China. That's what China's supposed to tell everybody. That's what China tells the West all the time through billions of dollars spent on propaganda. There are no homeless people in China. There are no poor people in China. Everybody's looked after, right? Even like Japan's like showing like, yeah, that we have problems in Japan, but in China you can't see, you're not supposed to see these problems, right? You're not supposed to see people like this because that means communism is failing, and communism is failing. This is the result of it, right? In a society where the young people, entire like millions and millions of people, like young people, should be getting, just graduated and should be getting jobs. There are no jobs for them, like at all. Like in the West, we're like, oh, I don't feel like working, so I won't go work, right? Or the money's not good enough for me. Like these guys are here, they have no money, so they have to live like on $5 a day, sort of thing, or a week, or whatever it is. Ramen noodles, right? And like get a can of energy drinks just to survive for the next 24 hours, right? So they can get somebody out there watching them, can put something, send them a gift. Like they say, well, here, have some cigarettes, right? Because they want to say, oh, I don't smoke, but you can smoke for me and show me how it feels like. That's what I mean, like vicariously. It can be quite dangerous, I think. Like is that parasocial. In the West we call it parasocial, but I think this it's not even parasocial. Like I think it's definitely vicariously, like living through these people who are actually themselves miserable, but by vicariously living through them, your own life is a bit less miserable, right? It is quite sad.
Various internet cafe god videos because they resonate with the concept of low desire. Low desire emphasizes a lifestyle with low material desires and lack of ambition. The internet cafe gods reminds those discouraged in life that there's a way of living that requires very little money to be happy. To some extent, young people's interest in these videos is a way to relieve stress. In a Chinese interview show called Peak, the host once questioned the negative mindset of young people today during a conversation with Chinese stand-up comedian Li Xueqin. The host felt that young people are increasingly demotivated and aimless. But Li responded that she sees negativity as a buffer, a way to relax mentally. She also mentioned that her stand-up comedy style is low energy and often filled with negative energy as soon as she starts talking. However, these downbeat expressions ease her mental tension, allowing her to focus on her stand-up performance. After all, once you prepare for the worst, you gain a sense of fearlessness. The true speed of China's economic decline has surpassed most people's imagination. In a media interview, Hong Hao, chief economist at China's leading hedge fund Grow Investment Group, indicated that China's new growth points and investment directions are unclear. He suggested that an average annual economic growth rate of around 2% over the next 10 years would already be an optimistic forecast for China. In global capital markets, Hong is also widely known as China's most accurate analyst. During the interview, his tone revealed a sense of helplessness, indicating that China's economy is plummeting at a rate beyond people's comprehension. A January client report by Yardeni Research, a global investment advisory firm based in New York, stated that the decline in the Chinese economy is evident. This was a result of the significant wealth loss effect caused by the plummeting real estate and stock prices. Since peaking in early 2021, China's stock market has lost over $6 trillion. Bloomberg data shows that the MSCI China Index has fallen by about 60% over the same period. Edward Yardeni, president of Yardeni Research, also pointed out that China's economic recession began around November 2022, when the Chinese Communist Party launched a liquidity package for the real estate sector, known as the Three Arrows policy. This policy helped real estate developers secure more funding through bank credit, bond issuance, and equity financing. In Yardeni's view, the recession will last for another 1 to 2 years, after which China will enter a period of economic stagnation. with growth rates of 0 to 2% over the next 10 to 20 years. China's official GDP growth rate of 5.2% is inconsistent with other market indicators, such as the declining copper and oil prices affected by weak Chinese demand, and the significant drop in the stock market. It is evident that the government had manipulated the data. From a debt perspective, from December 2008 to December 2023, China's bank loans increased nearly sevenfold, from 5 trillion to 33 trillion US dollars, while US bank loans only doubled to 12 trillion during the same period. The research concludes.
Okay, let me just.
Of China even announced at the end of 2023 that it would retrospectively reduce the 2022 GDP by about 70 billion US dollars after final data verification. However, this reduction is also inconsistent with the national total for 2022. After Tsai highlighted this issue, the BBC also reported similar data discrepancies. Regarding this issue, Tsai said that the CCP is trying to cover up the economic reality in China by falsifying data, but they can't make all the lies consistent. He said this is utterly shameless, as they don't care whether these numbers are true or not. The CCP used the same method for
Okay,
to be
so
36.
this is about the middle-aged woman there, like got everything. This is like I'm looking at the whole entire not just one aspect of living under communism, right? The entire purview, like the young, the old, the graduates, the students, you know, everybody, farmers, right? So, and it's very pervasive, because if you type in EV cars right now on YouTube, right? Do it later. You know, you'll find there's like, if you put China EV cars, and you'll see only good news, only good things. You won't hear about all the failures. You won't hear about all the complaints from mainlanders themselves, the Chinese people themselves, saying all these cars are trash. Why they, you know, it's catching on fire, it's crashing, right? It's falling apart. Brand new cars got dents in them, or the paint's chipped, right? Or I've had this car for a week and the leather's molding, right? Stuff like that. So, because there's billions of dollars being spent on propaganda in the West by China on every single social media platform, especially on Twitter, as one of you know, the guys from China Fact Finders. I think it's China Fact Finders. I'll find out. Let me just. I think it's Fact Chasers. I think it's, they were saying, because they actually lived 10 years in China. So China Fact Chasers, I think is the name. Yeah, that's what they're called. Yeah. We'll look at their things soon. But like, so this is about the ladies, right? The middle-aged ladies. You know, and like, you know, in the West, we're like, okay, go get a career, go do this, and right. And then they later on, ladies are going like, females, right? Going, feminism's let me down, right? And now I can't have children. No guy wants me. Like, I'm so friggin' rich now that people are, you know, young, you know, people I desire, males I desire, they don't want to look at me because they feel threatened by me and all this shit, right? But really, in the end, it's like you had an opportunity, and you basically told those people at that time, go screw yourself, right? And this is a result of that. And this is the same with China, right? And it's like, get education, get all this. And this lady is not a what is it called, like a, I don't know, a 1 in 1,000. No, she's like 1 in 100, really. You know, because there's a lot of them, because that's, otherwise they wouldn't be talking about this, right? Because it's a problem. So this is like China's leftover women.
Girls, do you know what it's like to be 36, unmarried, and without a boyfriend? It's not the independent, clear-headed heroine you might imagine. In reality, I'm afraid of dating, afraid of relationships.
Here's the thing I just thought about the other day, like, because I saw this and there's something else that came up, and I was like thinking, the thing about this is like, there's a difference between male and female. Like, people go like, well, there is no difference, right? There's no biological thing and stuff. But there is, like, mentally, males are okay with loneliness. Like, I mean, being not loneliness, not nobody's freaking, okay with being lonely, loneliness, right? Well, what I mean is, like, men are better at handling being alone than females are. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's that whole maternal instinct, the need to provide, not provide, need to care. Because males are like, they have the need to provide, right? I'm going to go get the bread. You go, I'm going to provide it. You make the bread, bake something with it. And I know it sounds a bit sexist, but it's kind of what it is, man. It's like, it's been the way for centuries, and you can't suddenly, like, change that, because that's the way our brains have always worked. And, it's like the lion going out, grabbing the thing, bringing it back to the, to the mama lion, and handing out all to everybody else pieces of that meat with the gazelle, right, deer, whatever it is. But I was thinking about this, like, guys will have like ups and downs, and I've been through that myself. But like, and majority, like, if you really think about it, like, we're okay. There will be like little bits and pieces, but we're okay with being alone. However, I find like, and I don't want to lie, it's like, it's not tough, but there is times you go, oh shit. But then here's the thing: there's our males kick our brains if we kind of go kick and go, might as well go get busy then. And the moment you're busy, you're like, oh, nothing. However, I think, and females are this, I don't know what the hell it is, maybe it's psychological, I don't know, where if they're left on their own, they become negative. It's like, oh, nobody wants me, or I'm like this, and just can't handle it, the situation more. And like, that's why you get the cat lady syndrome, right? Whatever you want to call it. And that's why you'll see a lot of females online around 30, 40 complaining, going, oh, and I go, yeah, man, because you just basically told those guys in 20, when they were 20 and 30s, like 25, whatever, that they were trash. Why would they look at you now, right? However, like, guys will go, okay, well, let's go hang out with the boys, right? So anyway, I might be wrong on that, but I think there is a difference, and there's always going to be a difference, because that's the way it is, It's like, and if you don't mind me saying, there's always a butch, right, in a gay relationship, because someone's got to be the man and someone's got to be the lady, right? Male or female, lesbian or gay. That's just the way it is. And I've had these conversations for the last 30 odd years, right? I've got gay friends, I've got lesbian friends, and you'll always see it. Like I said, it's biological, it's natural, it's nature. Like, someone's got to be the feminine, and someone's got to be the male, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is. I think like a lot of times we kind of think, oh yeah, it's just it. Once you accept it, you'll feel free about it. Like, you'll be okay with it, right? And I think a lot of times, and that's the other thing, right? So now these same females are wanting males to be like more feminine, cry more and do this more. And now they're like, we don't want that. Right. So now you're getting all this sort of like, and China's, the Chinese females like realizing that themselves, the dream they had, right, of being, do this, get this, chase after that. Now they're realizing, well, those guys are already gone, that they wanted me before. So who wants me now? Oh, that 60-year-old, that guy. And so, because the younger ones don't, because they know what you're like, and now they rather leave you to the older ones. That's why you see a lot of older ones actually with younger, because they're like, well, that person at that age doesn't have an attitude. around 30, around about, I guess, I don't know. And that's what guys are saying, right? I'm not trying to like say this and that about, that women are bad or men are good. I'm just saying, right? So it gets to that point, and it's like, and then that's why you have all these like friggin' red pill, black pill kind of things on, because people realize that, yeah, this is what it is. And then it becomes a big thing, rather than just going, yeah, there's a difference. Once you understand there's a difference and accept it and be okay with it, then it's okay. Then you're happy. Once you accept who you are, then you're okay, right? Unless you want to be a criminal or some shit like that. That's not okay then. All right, here we go.
Girls, do you know what it's like to be 36, unmarried, and without a boyfriend? It's not the independent, clear-headed heroine you might imagine. In reality, I'm afraid of dating, afraid of relationships, and I can't even think about marriage. It's not because I'm not trying or that I'm not good enough. I have a master's degree, started a business, and bought a house. But when it comes to marriage, I feel weak. I've gone on many blind dates, and just the thought of being judged for my age makes me not want to go out again. If I meet someone I like and we get along well, if I show any temper, they'll say, "You're not young anymore. If you still don't understand things and need me to coax you, why am I with you?" Because of my age, many things become intolerable. So maybe love is something for the younger years, and if possible, it's best to enter marriage when you're young. The TikTok user Rice Kernel is a woman from Hangzhou. On June 15th, she posted a video expressing regret for not getting married in her 20s. Previously, she posted a video complaining that even with a master's degree, it wasn't until she was 28 that she realized that standing, older single men wouldn't be interested in her. Now, the ones pursuing her are single men from rural areas, and she feels she can only marry into the countryside. This comment resonated with many single women, both domestically and abroad. Media interviewed her, and it turns out her surname is Lee, and she's actually only 36. She responded saying, "In 2 more years, I definitely won't be able to have kids. I've been on 5 blind dates, but none were suitable." As for why she lied about her age, many netizens believe she's using the topic of older single women to gain attention. Some think her actions may have been a marketing angle. I'm a single woman born in 1988 with a master's degree from a top university. Recently, I've begun to feel like I might be able to accept dating someone who's divorced and has a child. I used to think this was the last thing I'd compromise on, but now I've realized that loneliness is more terrifying than anything else. Lately, my world feels silent and empty, as if there's no sound at all, and it will always be this way. It feels like I'm afraid to make a sound because any noise would echo back and scare me. I don't know how long this loneliness will last. In early June, Rice Kernel posted a video revealing her true feelings. Although she appears strong and independent on the surface, deep down she harbors an inexplicable loneliness and feels melancholy about her fading youth. Most older single women have high education, high income, and high intelligence, and are attractive. However, their high standards in choosing a partner often leave them without an ideal match, turning them into what's called leftover women. Rice Kernel might be using the sensitive topic of leftover women to draw attention to this group, thereby increasing her exposure and influence. In this light, her actions can be seen as a brave stand and form of self-affirmation. I'm a bit sad now because I've suddenly realized that it's easy for older girls to have a car and a house, but finding love is really hard. Even though I don't want to accept it, I can't fight it. No matter how beautiful, educated, or nice you are, when you enter the dating market, you'll be held back by your age. I thought my hard work and effort would allow me to be with someone I love, but to my surprise, when I finally had a car and a house, as an older woman, I was just someone others would judge and weigh the pros and cons of. I felt like all my efforts in my younger years would have been better spent dating. I have a friend who dated a girlfriend 2 years older than him. He told me he was the picky one in the relationship, while she was very accommodating. Now he has a new girlfriend who is 5 or 6 years younger than him. When he showed me her picture, I was shocked. She smokes, drinks, and parties, which is very different from his previous standards. I asked him how he could accept this now. He said because she's younger, he's more tolerant of her. Hearing this, I cried. It made me feel so sad. In the video, the Douyin user named Tian Yao Yao is a gentle, understanding, and beautiful older woman. However, despite reaching the age of marriage and dating, she struggles to find a suitable partner. She observes that many men consider a woman's age as a crucial factor when choosing a partner. They tend to prefer younger women who are perceived as more fertile, while they hesitate or even become picky about women like her who are successful but older. I was born in 1991, so I'm 33 years old this year, a leftover woman. Not being married at this age makes me feel anxious. People always say that if you're still not married at this age, you must be too picky. If I had lowered my standards earlier, I would have been married by now. When I was 27 or 28, I also wanted to get married and even had the impulse to have a quick marriage. But then I thought if I made the wrong choice, I would fall into an abyss with no way out. The internet is filled with stories about women being abused, abandoned, or even pushed off cliffs. To be honest, I had a fear of marriage, similar to how men are afraid of gold diggers. But while gold diggers are after money, some men might be after your life. Despite this, I remain hopeful about life. I eat and drink well, work when I need to, and travel when I want to. Over time, I got used to being alone, but now at 33, I never imagined I would reach this age without being married, and it feels quite hopeless. Sometimes I want to find someone, and sometimes I don't. People have started introducing me to divorced men with children or men in their 50s. This made me realize that men my age want young, beautiful girls and wouldn't consider me. So I'm left with either divorced men with children or much older men who aren't even successful. It makes me feel quite desperate. In China, there is indeed a belief that as women age, their value in the marriage market decreases, leading to anxiety about marriage among many women. This phenomenon is tied to traditional views and gender imbalances. Men often seek youth and beauty in a partner, while women look for economic stability and a partner who can guide them spiritually. As times change, women's views on choosing a partner are also evolving. They are beginning to enter the dating market, hoping to find the right person. However, the dating process is not as smooth as they imagined. They thought their high education and good jobs would be advantages, but reality has given them a harsh lesson. Are you dating?
You're a bit old.
I was born in 1991. Is that old?
1991 is a bit old.
How old are you?
Born in 1997.
I don't mind that you're younger.
Your annual income is a bit low.
I have a company, and I didn't mention because I didn't want to pressure you. I have 2 houses, all earned from my own business.
You're 158 centimeters tall. That's a bit short.
So
this woman, who goes by the online name Athena, is from Anhui and went to the famous matchmaking park in Hangzhou to find a partner. Her poster read, "Sincerely looking for a partner, female."
So if you watch like the dating thing or whatever, like like in the West, right, America, because we don't do that here in New Zealand because it's just like it's too small and somebody will know you and they'll go laugh at you. Right? We still have that whole thing, you know, kind of a little bit of public shame thing going on. You know, we don't want to be, you know, be seen as that sort of like, you know, I guess we're small enough where we're like, as a country, where somebody will know somebody else. So it's like, we try to keep it on the low. But this is a friggin' dating park. Like, did you hear that? Like, I didn't like.
Didn't mention because I didn't want to pressure you. I have 2 houses, all earned from my own business.
You're 158 centimeters tall. That's a bit short.
So that popped up to me, but then after that was like, but I want to talk about that. This is basically what's happening to men in the West. See the role reversal? The guy is now saying that you're too short, right? Your income's this. And in the West, the woman is going, hey, you're not making enough, right? And they don't understand like salaries and all this because they're like, what's in your pocket, right? They don't understand that I've got a business and all this kind of shit. It's like, yeah, but, you know, so you'll see a lot of like especially, like I said, America, right? And probably England as well, where there's Western women so-called, right? And so you get like, oh, hey, so you're not my type. Oh, why not? Oh, because you're not rich enough, or you don't have a flash car, or you're not tall enough, and not, you're not muscular or something. All this, like the tall thing is really interesting because guess what? Asian people are quite short. It's not often you'll see them like 6 foot at. Like look at that guy, older guy next to her, right? So you got this dude right here, right? She's like almost like half a foot. It was like about 15 centimeters tall there. So how tall is the guy talking to her? Right? Because like if you look at the back there, that's probably the tallest guy out of all of them. Look at this like line across here, right? And they're like about maybe 4 steps back or 5 steps back, and he's 2 steps back. So, but yeah, like he's the tallest. Look at that. He's almost like a whole foot taller than the lady over here. But the next thing you'll see, and role reversal, right?
This woman, who goes by the online name Athena, is from Anhui and went to the famous matchmaking park in Hangzhou.
There you go, the famous matchmaking park. It's like a public dating thing, right? But not dating, matchmaking, which means like in Fiji, like in like a lot of Indian cultures, right? And maybe some other, maybe Africa might have that, and especially like Asian cultures, like the more traditional based cultures, not the Western, they have like arranged marriages. But this is like a public, open, open space, public parking area. I mean, like not park, right? Where they just like walking around going, oh, hey, these are my credentials. That's what they were looking at, right? That's what they were looking at here. That's what she's holding up, right? That's all the credentials here with the photo of the person by the looks of it, right? That's what she looks like. What's he looks like? Maybe, that's why he knows that she's got, she only makes this much, but she goes, no, I actually make more. I have 2 businesses and I have 2 houses and stuff. I didn't put on there because I don't want you to think about I'm all these things, because then you'd pass me by because you feel like I'm richer than you and you would not accept me. And she's like, I'm willing, right? In her desperation for marriage and for children and a family, she's willing to lower her expectations. Yet in the West, the Western women are not willing. They're out there getting, baby mama type things, like 6, 2, 3 different people, children with 2, 3 different babies, whatever, that's what they call them, baby mamas, right? By 2, 3 different men and 5 or whatever. And then they go, well, you should look after my kids. It's like, well, why do I want to look after all these other kids? Right? I'm just going to look after my own kids. I watched some of these videos. I haven't, it's been a year, maybe about 6, 7 months since I stopped watching them. It's like, this is just getting depressing. Like, how do men out there watch this and not be depressed at how women treat them? And then women turn around and go, oh, you're too short, or you don't have enough money, and then but look after my baby. Right? Look after my baby. Right? It's like, why should I look after other men's babies? Why should I pay for that? I'll look after my own child. It's just like this whole switch around. She's like, I am the other lady before, right? She goes, I'm willing to look after another man's child if he will marry me. Right? That's why like a lot of Western people, like Americans, you see, so-called passport bros. Like my dad was like that. Like my dad, like my stepfather, right? My dad was like that. He's like, I'm tired of this Western woman thing. This is like a friggin' 80s. It's like I just don't like this attitude. So he went and married my mum in Fiji. I was 7 years old, right? And this is like friggin' what, 43 years ago? Yeah, about 43 years ago. So if you think about it was bad at that, at that time, this is what's happening. That my dad was a passport bro, I guess, but my mum was the one who sort him out. But he replied to that, so it was kind of like, mum's like, yeah, I want to, someone to provide for my son, solo mum, and he goes, all right, there's 2 people, and she goes, oh, I'll go with him because he's had children before, so she knew that like at least he'll be able to. He's someone who is fatherly than someone without, right? And so. But that was 40 years ago. And here we are now where it's like, it's actually a kind of almost like a pandemic with man going, you know what, I'm giving up on the Western woman. I'm just going to go to Asia, more traditional people, maybe I'll, try Africa, wherever else, maybe South America, right? Just not where all the European people are, right? Because they are all being brought up in feminism, and not the first wave or second wave, but the third and fourth wave, the one who says, well, I need to be better than you, not be unequal to you, right? And so people just go, yeah, well, I'm out. I'm just going to go overseas and maybe live there, or maybe bring a bride back from there. And like I said, this was going on 40 years ago. My dad's friend went over to Philippines 40 years ago. He's passed on now. I think he had a heart attack because he was really, really overweight. And so, yeah, you know, and yeah, so he had a Filipino wife, and mum and dad had an Indian wife, and I've known quite a handful of people around, you know, who have done the same thing at that time in the 80s. So if you think like this is not a new thing, because men just get tired after a while of like arguing with like, oh, you know, this and that up, and then like I'd rather have peace. There was like somebody said, would you spend a week with a female, and you know, something like that, like, and or would you rather spend a week in the desert? And the guy said, I'd rather be in the desert. So you can see there's like a whole you know, and their dating shows and all that stuff's really, people put on facades, man. You know, it is what it is. I mean, like if you watch enough interactions, you find out enough of what's going on in people's head. And yeah, it's kind of like, I just think this is quite sad, because she's at 2 businesses, has a house, has a car, has a high income, yet she's willing to lower herself, right, just to get a guy to marry her. That is sadness, right?
You're 158 centimeters tall. That's a bit short.
This woman, who goes by the online name Athena, is from Anhui and went to the famous matchmaking park in Hangzhou to find a partner. Her poster read, "Sincerely looking for a partner, female, born in 1991, master's degree, height 158 centimeters, weight 45 kilograms, owns property in Shanghai and Hangzhou, works as an advertising company planner with an annual income of about 150,000 RMB. Athena also listed 4 criteria for her potential partner. Seeking a good person to build a life together. Requirements: 1. Bachelor's degree or above. 2. Owns property in Shanghai or Zhejiang. 3. Height above 175 centimeters. Willing to give a dowry of 50,000 RMB, non-negotiable. She is often seen at the matchmaking corner of the park. However, her age frequently becomes an obstacle in the dating market. In the video, Athena said, "Everyone criticizes my age. Is it wrong for a woman to be older? Does being older mean I can't have any requirements? Everyone has the right to pursue love and be loved. Is it so hard to respect others' choices?" She also stated, "I'd rather die than settle. Don't keep advising me to lower my standards. I'm a woman with a master's degree, 2 houses and 2 cars. I have an annual salary of 300,000 RMB, and I can start a business anytime now. I see a bright future ahead of me. Why should I settle for a partner who's inferior in every way?"
So here's what, like, so her one's like 300, I was like 300,000 RMB, and the other one was like what was the other one? Where's my numbers? I was just doing a like a conversion. So let me just show you what I just did, because it's like RMB, that's like yuan, right? Like most people know it as yuan, but they call it RMB there, so it can be confusing. So this is the amount, right? So 150,000 is 20.6 thousand US dollars. Now, if I then say, let's convert that, right, to New Zealand dollars. Where's NZ? Right, let's go NZ, right? No, that was like 20,000. Get over there. 20.6. So if we're looking at 20.6 thousand, right, that works out to be 36,000 a year. It's not bad, right? It's like, but remember, she's got, this is freaking huge for China, right? A person can live on like about 100 yuan, right? So 100, what's 100 yuan, right? So let's have a look. So where are we? Back to RMB. All right. So let's go 100 yuan before we're looking at the guys living in their friggin' internet kinks. $13, right? So he's saying he can live on $13 a week, right? So if a guy can live on 100 yuan, which is $13 US, right, which is about 20 bucks New Zealand a week, it's pretty hard, right? That's pretty sad, because that's how, when she says I have 150,000 yuan a year, that's huge for them. And another one says, well, I have 300,000. That's like twice that. And like, but she's got businesses and shit. And that's what I'm like saying, like, it's not, you watch this and it's like, oh, it's so big. It's not. It's very tiny when you really think about it. She's saying $30,000 a year, and the other one's saying I'm 60. Right? And that's 20,000 US and 30,000 US, 40,000 US, 30,000, something like that, between the two of them. So, and then she goes, why should I lower myself, right? But she has, basically, she's like, I'm willing to negotiate with you if you're willing to be with me, right? And
has the right to pursue love and be loved. Is it so? In the video, Athena said, everyone criticizes my age. Is it wrong for a woman to be older? Does being older mean I can't have any requirements? Everyone has the right to pursue love and be loved. Is it so hard to respect others' choices? She also stated, I'd rather die than settle. Don't keep advising me to lower my standards. I'm a woman with a master's degree, 2 houses, and 2 cars. I have an annual salary of 300,000 RMB, and I can start a business anytime now. I see a bright future ahead of me. Why should I settle for a partner who's inferior in every way, lowering my quality of life? If I can't find someone suitable, I won't get married. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone who's 170 centimeters tall?
No, that's reasonable.
Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone with a bachelor's degree or higher from a similar university?
No, that's reasonable.
My annual salary is about 200 to 400,000 RMB. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone with an annual salary of 300 to 4,000 RMB?
No, that's reasonable.
I was born in 1990. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone born around 1990, plus or minus 3 years?
No, that's reasonable.
See, now, this kind of thing is, when you're faced with a beautiful looking lady, right? The guy's just going to agree. Like, there's no thinking going on in his head. He's going, yeah, no, this. He's just going, yeah. He's just saying whatever she wants to hear. Later, he's going, dude, man, like, I just say whatever I want to say, or whatever she wanted to hear. Because men are agreeable like that. She just don't want to get into a freaking argument. Have you ever seen a guy purposefully get into an argument with a lady? On purpose? Because we don't want to arguments in our lives. We just want peace, right? Let's just sit down, talk, hang out, chill, go to dinner, come home, whatever, watch a movie, chill. Let's hear about your day. Let's talk it out. That's it. The moment arguments, guys, like, shit. Oh man, I got to deal with this. This is not going to stop for the next 2 hours. So let's just agree. Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. This is what the guy's doing. Like, yeah, I don't want to get into this shit with this lady who I don't even know. Right? Next thing, she's gonna like chase me down or something, and like be online and like I'll be like, yeah, this guy thinks that we're all women are like this and all that, and like, don't see him. His whole life's ruined. I don't want shit, and a lot of guys don't. Right? I don't know any guy who wants to purposefully ever get into an argument with a female, because it never ends. It goes on. It'll pick up in about 5 years. Remember that time. Right? However, men, right? Well, basically, oh yeah, dude, you screwed up. Okay. Just give me punch me in and we'll get over and done with. End of story. Like I said, biology, man, like it's just the way we're made. There's differences. The sooner we realize, the sooner we're better at it. That's why. So this guy realized, he's like, yeah, there's no point me arguing, like disagreeing with her. Let's just agree. Like, I'm just here. Like, why the hell am I even here? I should have just walked past. Why did I stop? That's what he's going in his head. It's like, maybe afterwards, if I agree with her, she might go ask me, you know, I can ask her for a drink, and she might come out for a drink with me, and yeah, maybe then I can say, yeah, look, I don't really agree with some of what you're saying. Some of them I'm okay with, but out there when you're doing that, I couldn't tell you what I thought because I look like a fool, and I feel like I've been put on, you know, I've been put on spot.
I have 300,000 RMB in savings. Is it unreasonable for me to ask for a dowry of 280,000 RMB?
No.
Yeah. You know, like, oh man, I'm born in 1990. I'm 73, right? Married, divorced, particularly for the same reason. It's like, just couldn't handle like over and over of constant like arguing. It's like, can we not just be at peace? Like, you know, yeah, can we not have fun? Just chill. It's like, I want peace. You want peace? Yeah, okay, let's be peaceful. Yeah, it's really sad. Like, I mean, seriously, like, just listen to her. Like, it's like putting this dude on the spot, and he's like, please don't ruin my life, please don't ruin my life, please don't. Look at that look on his face, man. The guy's just like, oh, don't say anything stupid. Don't say anything stupid. Please don't say anything stupid. That's what he's thinking.
For someone who's 170 centimeters tall?
No, that's reasonable.
Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone with a bachelor's degree or higher from a similar university?
No, that's reasonable.
My annual salary is about 200 to 400,000 RMB. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone with an annual salary of 300 to 4,000 RMB?
No, that's reasonable.
I was born in 1990. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone born around 1990, plus or minus 3 years?
No, that's reasonable.
I have 300,000 RMB in savings. Is it unreasonable?
So she sounds like a Western lady right now, right? And I don't mean to demean that, but from what I've seen, right, on similar spots, right? So like Asians are basically, and China's already picking it up as well, doing the same thing there. You know, street interviews, right? On the spot interviews. Girls are like Western girls, right? And what we mainly see is most of the time is American. Like, it just shows up on my screen every now and then. Don't know why, but sometimes it does on short videos and clips like that. But maybe because like 2 years ago I looked at one of them, and that was like, now it's like they think algorithm thinks, yeah, maybe we'll check this out. That's how it works, obviously. But it's kind of like, so you get, you know, like you get similar things like, he should own like 6 figures. I ain't marrying someone or going out with someone unless they got 6 figures. It's like, you know, the average person doesn't get 6 figures, right? It's probably 5 figures at the most, average person, right? And like, oh no, he has to, like, have you looked at yourself? No, I'm a teen, bro. I'm a teen. Like, dude, you're like 4. No, I'm a teen. Like, I'm all that. So that person's got about 2-3 babies. There's a body count of about 100 or 200. And the guys, they're going, she's like a 4. And, you know, I'm probably better off, like, just being single. I just don't need that stress, because if she's like this on this in public, on this YouTube thing that's billions of people around the world probably going to see, and she's speaking like this, dude, like, what she's going to be like with me. I don't need that stress. And that's what I mean. Like, this guy's going blank. Look at his eyes. This is like blank. His face is blank. Poor dude.
Reasonable for me to ask for a dowry of 280,000 RMB?
No, that's reasonable.
If you meet these requirements, would you be willing to date someone like me?
I might consider it.
Yeah. See, now he's thinking.
How could you?
I'd have to be out of my mind. Think about it. A man with an annual salary of 400,000 RMB, around 30 years old, who has a car and a house, and is willing to give a dowry of 280,000 RMB, and is handsome and over 170 centimeters tall. Wouldn't he look for an 18-year-old?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
But it's also reasonable for him to look for someone like me.
If he can find an 18-year-old,
this is what a dude's thinking in the West. The man thinks anywhere the same way anywhere. We're built this way. Why the hell am I gonna be, why am I gonna, ladies, chill for a minute, right? Don't attack me on this. But this is what a guy's thinking. It's like, why would I want a fucking Holden, right? A used car when I could get a Lamborghini fresh out of the yard. Like I said, he agreed with everything, and now he's giving it to her. He was thinking all that time, like, yeah, I gotta set this lady right, but he's just drilled her right, boom. Like, why the hell would I, like, with all that money, want to be choosing you, right? Think about it. He goes, right? Think about it.
I might consider it.
How could you?
I'd have to be out of my mind. Think about it. A man with an annual salary of 400,000 RMB, around 30 years old, who has a car and a house, and is willing to give a dowry of 280,000 RMB, and is handsome and over 170 centimeters tall. Wouldn't he look for an 18-year-old?
Yes, right. But it's also reasonable for him to look for someone like me.
If he can find an 18-year-old, why would he choose you?
But I'm more accomplished than an 18-year-old.
In what way are you more accomplished? You're older and have more wrinkles, right?
That's enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
Your standards for a man are higher than hers. In what way are you better? Explain it clearly.
Older single women often face various biases and
as long as she gets what she wants, she's happy. So he gave her what she wanted. Yeah, it's reasonable. And then he tells her, isn't it really reasonable that I don't choose the old used Holden or Toyota, and I go for the Lamborghini straight off the yard that hasn't done the mileage? No. Oh, but why would I choose you with the wrinkles, right? And this is the thing, like, it's like, and you look at like Leonardo, everybody has a hassle. Like, Leonardo's like, I don't want a fucking chick with attitude, 30 years old, 40 years old, who's got all this, all that. I already have that. Like, I got my mansions, I got my cars, I don't need nothing. What I need is a companion to chill with me and be interested in what I'm interested in. I worked my ass off for 30 years to get what I've gotten now. The last thing I want to do is someone working their ass off and at my throat every day as well. I want to go see my girls. And then you get ready to go see the girls. I don't feel like it now. I got a headache. But you just said, I got already, man. I booked the restaurant and everything. We got, don't feel like it now. It's like, it's the reality of the fucking relationship. It's like, and like, but the young ones like, oh, I got energy. Let's go nightclub. Okay, cool. Let's go. We'll buy you shit. Yeah, go. Call the girls up. Let's go. I'll get the boys out. Yeah, let's go hang out. Sweet. Go home to a Lamborghini. Not when you get home and the woman goes, you were looking at it. You were looking at that. So what were you thinking? Like, why were you looking at it? But the young one goes, shit, that was great. I enjoyed time with the guys. Guess you had fun too, looking at the nice young ladies as well. Yeah, but you're with me tonight. Yeah. I'm glad I came home with you. Because they understand where the money's at, what the situation is. And I might sound sexist, but the reality is people don't want to think like that anymore. Especially females, they don't want to think like the reality of the world. And I don't even know why I'm speaking like this about this, because I don't like talking about this shit at all. But I think it's just the fact is that it's gotten to a point where females are like, they just don't want to look in the mirror. See, I can look in the mirror and go, shit, that's a bit of white hair, wrinkles, better put on some face cream because it's getting a bit dry. That's it. Now, imagine a female like going, oh shit, I gotta go. Got to put an appointment to, they get to get it colored up. Yeah, can't get a little white hair, all this, and then the guy goes, doesn't say that he's, doesn't say like, oh, did you get a hair color change? And she's like, didn't say that, so now you got an argument. That sort of thing. It's like females have become so aggressive. It's just the weirdest thing. And so the men have become like, okay, we're just agreeable. And now it's changed to a point where now it's like, we agree with anything, right? And then because we've agreed with anything for so long, now what happens is that like females think that's the way it is. That's the way it should be. We should not disagree at all. It's like, because if we disagree, then like, yeah, we're basically sexist and we're pigs. It's like, that's what you see in like music and stuff like that. It's like always like, oh, man hating songs and like, oh, white man this, white man that. It's like, those guys work 30 years of their lives to get to where they are. What they gave up all those datings. They sacrificed all their time so they could have gone out with the boys and got drunk, partied up, went around and had sex all the time, whatever. But they decided, well, you know what? I really want to do this film and want to be a director, and I'm going to just not think about that at all, because if I do, right, same thing when like basketball players, right? Same thing. Like, yeah, guys, I got to go practice at 5 o'clock in the morning. Can't, man. Sorry. And now, right, now that they're millionaires and stuff, and they get these girls, now those girls want half of everything who've never been there at that time, right? And the ones that we always remember are the ones that were there right at the start and have still been there with them through the thick and thin. And those are stories that we all love, because we know those are things that we would like to happen in our lives. That's why we hold them to, like, oh, they've been married for 50 years. They've been together since they were like high school, right? And you go, oh, it's so great to see them. And then you go like someone who just marries them like about 30 years later, after he's been through all the stress, the depression, maybe a couple of suicide attempts, but he got through it, and now somehow, and now he's made something of himself, or, and now he decides, okay, I'm going to settle down, enjoy my life. Next thing you know, somebody, they have a fight with this new, someone they just married like a year or two ago. Now they want everything, half of everything. It's like, you were never there. It's like, and that's why I think it's really weird seeing the whole thing in China now, right? And like it's like the same thing. It's like, it's almost like these females basically decided that like, yeah, feminism, yeah, that's for us. And then the guy's going, look, all I want is somebody accommodating. You don't have to put makeup all over your face. You don't have to get like plastic surgery. Just be peaceable with me. Just chill with me. Like, hang with me. Hang with my boys, right? If we decide to go to watch a movie, just let's go watch a movie and chill out. But the problem is, these days ladies don't want to do that. They want to fight every step of the way, argue every step away, to bite at every little morsel that you can have, because they feel like if you don't accommodate them on every little thing, that you don't like them, that you don't appreciate them. See, the only thing a man needs to hear is like, hey, honey, you did well. Thanks for putting out the rubbish. Oh, you washed the car. Okay, cool. You got the groceries. Oh, thank you for that. That's a little bit of, ego tapping, right? Nothing else. That's the difference between man and female as well. Like, we don't need adoration. We don't need to be put on a pedestal. We just need to be told that we're doing all right, right? And if we go through the hard time, just go, you'll get through this, right? I'm here for you, right? That's it. So we're very, very fucking low maintenance, man. Like, men are very low maintenance. I don't know how else I can say that. I think it's probably the best way to say that. Is like, men are low maintenance. We want food, we want shelter, we want food, and we want someone to hold at the end of the day. And for them to say, did all right, thanks for bringing home the bacon. That's all, man. That's all the jollies that gets us off. Because the moment you go, oh, remember that time we did that? I'm still pissed off at you. Is when the brain goes, all right, this is just not, let's just go for a walk. Maybe let's go for a drive. Leave her here. She can, I don't want to deal with this shit. Hey, go call up your mom or somebody because, I thought we were just going to hang out and watch TV. But that's, and the crazy thing is that, the Chinese people are finding it, ladies are finding it out for themselves the hard way.
Discrimination in the dating scene. The requirement the girl in the video mentioned are not unreasonable, so why can't she find a partner? Perhaps it's because...
Apologies there. Let me put this over this way. This will be better. Yeah. let me see that again. It's like he knows what's going on, right? Because he's like, she's not gonna he's like, yeah, I just feel sorry for him, but he really set her up. I thought he was he's gonna let her away, but he's like,
plus or minus 3 years?
No, that's reasonable.
I have 300,000 RMB in savings. Is it unreasonable for me to ask for a dowry of 280,000?
Around 30 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right.
Would you be willing to date someone like me?
I might consider it.
How could you?
I'd have to be out of my mind. Think about it. A man with an annual salary of 400,000 RMB, around 30 years old, who has a car and a house, and is willing to give a dowry of 280,000 RMB, and is handsome and over 170 centimeters tall. Wouldn't he look for an 18-year-old?
Yes, right. But it's also reasonable for him to look for someone like me.
If he can find an 18-year-old, why would he choose you?
But I'm more accomplished than an 18-year-old.
In what way are you more accomplished? You're older and have more wrinkles, right?
That's enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
Your standards for a man are higher than hers. In what way are you better? Explain it clearly.
Yeah.
Older single women often face various biases and discrimination in the dating scene. The requirement the girl in the video mentioned are not unreasonable, so why can't she find a partner? Perhaps it's because as women age, the risks associated with childbirth increase and men might hesitate to enter into marriage with them. Clearly, the man in the video prefers to look for young, attractive women in their 20s, and single older women are not high on his list. Here we are at the matchmaking corner of Hangzhou's Wansong Academy, where older women and their mothers are left in shock, even with offers of houses and cars. It's still difficult for them to find a match. Age has become the biggest hurdle, wouldn't you agree? This reflects the current attitudes towards finding a partner in Chinese society. You might say it's unfair, but it's a reality. There are many unfair things in the world, and the only thing ordinary people can do is silently resist. For older single women, the only way to fight against this unfairness is to choose to remain single. While urban single women still have some choices, rural women have even less control over their destiny. Under societal pressure and the lack of education and other social resources, rural women have even less bargaining power compared to their urban counterparts. They may face inequality and even domestic violence after marriage. In recent years, more women have been delaying marriage and childbirth, voluntarily joining the ranks of the leftover women. With material security, they can enjoy a carefree single life. Hello everyone, I'm 39 years old. Many people call me an old lady, an old woman, saying I can't get married. Honestly, I'm used to being attacked sometimes. If people don't criticize me, they might not feel smart. What century are we in? They keep saying, you can't get married, you can't get married. Well, if I can't get married, I just won't get married, right? I really don't understand these people stuck in the closed mindset. If I can't get married, then I just won't get married. On platforms like Xiaohongshu, posts from women in their 30s and 40s with tags like not getting married, not having children often receive thousands of likes. A 2021 survey by the Communist Youth League of China found that 44% of about 2,900 urban unmarried women interviewed did not intend to get married. For thousands of years, Chinese culture has favored men over women. In ancient times, the belief that a woman's virtue lies in her lack of talent was prevalent. Men typically hoped that women would play subordinate roles in the family and society. If a woman was educated and talented, she might challenge these traditional roles and authority. Today, some Chinese men still hold very conservative views on marriage, including some highly educated elites. A 35-year-old Chinese investment banker once said that Chinese men want their wives to be like plain yogurt, which can be flavored as they wish. His own wife, he said, was plain yogurt, not sophisticated and without strong opinions, but he liked her because she's easy to control. Many men can only accept women younger than themselves and cannot accept older women. Why is this? Chinese musician, writer, and host Gao Xiaosong once made controversial remarks that represent the thoughts of many marriageable men.
When she was with me, she was still young, not even in society yet, so her basic worldview was shaped by me. In contrast, finding an older wife who has been shaped by her social circle and then trying to change her would be much more tiring and likely to lead to more conflicts. My wife's views on the world, even the music she listens to, and the movies she watches, are influenced by me, so we share many similar thoughts. I think this makes us happy.
Yeah.
This shows that in romantic relationships, men's desire for admiration and dependence is much higher than that of women. Another major reason is that the poor economic situation has had a direct impact on the marriage rate. In 2024, China's economy continues to be sluggish, affected by the downturn in the real estate industry, local debt issues, and a wave of corporate layoffs leading to rising unemployment. Many young people have a pessimistic view of the future and marriage. As urban women's economic independence and education levels reach new heights, marriage is no longer a necessity from an economic perspective. Men say they cannot afford the cost of marriage, so more and more young men choose to lie flat and embrace non-marriage, prioritizing living happily. The number of marriages in China has halved in less than 10 years. Reports indicate that in the first quarter of 2024, the number of marriage registrations fell by 178,000 compared to the same period last year, with the annual number of marriage registrations expected to continue to decline. Since peaking in 2013, the number of marriage registrations in China has declined for 9 consecutive years. Some analysts believe that the number of single people will increase significantly in the future, and the trends of late marriage and declining birth rates are likely to pose serious threats to China's population goals.
That's what's going to hurt big, because China's ever had like a one child policy forever, right? And so with this decline in children in marriage, because they don't do the whole out of wedlock thing, it's frowned upon, traditional, right? So with lack of new generation, right, new children, new babies born and all that, the concern is, where are the workers going to come from? Because more workers mean more money for the party, because they see, that's how they see it. They don't see like better for society, good how future generations and all that. No, they see it as money. And so they're now like trying to push for more than one child in there as a government thing because of this, because they're scared that like with all these young people going, I don't want to get married, and older women going, yeah, I don't want to settle for like, lower myself to, I gotta have this 1.7 centimeters kind of thing. What is like 1.7? She did something like that. 1.7 meters tall or something, just under like 6 foot or something. She said, what, 5'8" or 5'9"? Why can't I have that? Why can't, why can I not have someone like that? Why do I have to have less height, a shorter person? Problem is, with all that attitude, like that their society's finally got, the government's getting really worried. The CCP's going, oh, damn it. That means we're going to have less people in the future. That means we're going to have less money, and we can't show the world that we're the best, And so because of that, like I said, they've got all these new policies they're bringing in that, you got to start having kids. And it's pretty crazy, watching how communism works in the long term. It's very interesting. So that's my hand for today. I think, my wrist is like, I've got 2 more circles of red to do. So this is going to be like that. And then let me get rid of this thing. Apologies for that, guys. So this is going to be like this when it's fired. And then on top of that, there's going to be like clear seal. And that clear seal is basically going to like be glossy like this, so over the top. And so the blue and the red will like really like pop, like bright colors. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that, I'll get this probably do this a bit more tomorrow, and the last two, and that's done. But and then I was thinking like doing the lip here, like this little lip area here, maybe blue, but we'll see how it goes. I might even do red. I think there's quite a lot of blue here, or red. That's kind of equal amount. I think I'll just go red just to make it stand out a bit. It'll be cool. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Just as I finish, right? Our Kickstarter is running. I didn't mention it all on the stream because I was like, busy with this, and I don't want to like distract from myself from what was happening, with the video and stuff. But I'll will it come up? There we go. So I actually put a video up. It's 19 days to go, and really haven't moved much in the last couple of days at all. So if you could please go check it out. Links in the chat right at the top. But let's go. All right, so let me go back there.
Please support the Robot Nation comic book on Kickstarter, a 44-page full-color sci-fi horror comic book for mature readers from New Zealand. The comic book is translated into 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, with amazing art and variant covers from artists around the world. This first issue of Robot Nation will be released as self-contained one-shot style complete books. Each issue has 2 stories. Visit Kickstarter.com and use Robot Nation in the search bar.
All right, that's me for today. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. And like I always say, if you have a loved one close by, let them know that you care, that you appreciate them. Give them a hug and a kiss. And if you don't, social media is there. Of course, at the moment I'm blocked on Facebook, so I can't do jack. But use phone, use social media, text message, everything, anything you can, any way you choose to let people know you're doing all right, and for them to know that you're thinking about them. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Ka kite anō.